I'm back. All right, so somebody said, oh, two people said, can't Ari do anything about it? Yes, Ari can and most likely will, okay? So I'm sure Ari can either, well, because it's so soon, I'm sure Ari can either do a motion to the appellate court or a motion to the Supreme Court, okay? She said, absolutely, this is simply a delay. Simply a delay. This is just a delay. Does not stop anything. The appellate order is still in place, but it is paused. So it's like it's frozen. It doesn't get rid of the appellate order. The only thing that get rid of the appellate order is what? The Supreme Court order, okay? So if the Supreme Court picks it up, they're the only ones that can say this order is no longer in effect, okay? So it's still in effect, it's just paused, okay? It's paused, all right? So let me go over some questions. I got quite a bit. If you guys have a question, write it down. And when I finish with these questions, I want you guys to, let me do these questions first because there's quite a bit of them. And it's gonna list the questions and it's going to give you the answer. It's a lot of them. Let me tell you how many they are. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, what, 32? I have 32 questions. Are y'all ready? Y'all gotta let me know y'all ready. Y'all gotta let me know if y'all are ready for these questions and answers, okay? All right, hold on. I had to grab something right quick. So let me know if you guys are ready and we're going to run this one, okay? I'm going to wait on a few more people to get in so I won't have to repeat myself. Y'all tell everybody that I'm live, okay? Now, this is 32 questions that I'm going to answer for you guys today, all right? So I hope in these 32 questions that I'm able to answer all of your concerns. Let me just make sure I got enough water over here because I know my mouth about to be dry, baby. Oh, Lord Jesus. Because I'm going to read them myself. All right, I might have to go grab another bottle of water. Let me go grab another bottle. Well, that's okay. I think I'll be fine. All right. So let's get into it. She said, Amora, read my comment and tell me your thoughts. Where's your comment, Robbie? Where you at, Robin? Okay, she said, getting the Supreme Court involved is risky. If the Supreme Court doesn't side with the state, this would be a tough case to win. So I wrote something like that already on my community wall earlier, okay? I said that this is going to be a bad look for the state if the Supreme Court agrees with the appellate, okay? Because this will be not one court, but two courts basically saying, you got it wrong, okay? You got it wrong. So it's not a good look, but I don't even know if it's going to get that far, to be honest with you. I don't think the Supreme Court is going to pick it up because I don't see right now where this is a state issue. You know what I'm saying? I don't think this is a state issue. I think this is just a Holly case. They really believe that they really believe that she's a danger. I don't really think they believe that shit. I just think it's an ego issue and they don't like to lose. Okay, that's my take on this. But let's go over these 32 questions, okay? Now, hopefully this answers what you guys are thinking or may want to answer. Hold on, let me check my my thumbs up right quick. Hold on, let me see. We got to make sure we are... Okay, so I have 137 thumbs up. I'm going to step out just for a second, and I need you guys to step out and hit that thumbs up button for me, please, and thank you. Okay, let me see where we at. That's kind of weird. So it appears that we just have some people in here that do not support me or this live stream because, baby, it's at least 60 or 70 people that is not hitting the thumbs up. So y'all just say, hey, haters, because we got a lot of haters in here, you hear me, that do not want to hit the thumbs up button. They probably from, y'all already know, child, the miserable camp, just listening to me. But anyway, we're going to continue on. They want the information too, baby. That's how they learn. They come over here and they learn from me, all right? Because they know that I'm not going to give them no fluff, that I'm going to tell them what it is. So they over here looking like, what's she going to say, y'all? What's she going to say? Let me go over there so I can learn, y'all. Let me learn something. Let me learn. Because people don't go over the law. They do not answer the questions legally. They only answer the questions what? Emotionally. But we're going to answer the questions legally. We're going to find out over here what's the next step, okay? No guessing, no none of that. We just going to find out what's really going on, all right? So let's go over some questions, shall we? All right? So the first set of questions, this one will be, does this mean Holly is not coming home anymore? All right? No, no, no. This does not mean Holly will not be coming home. What it means is that her release is temporarily paused. The appellate court already ruled in her favor, but that ruling is on pause, hold, while the state asked the Illinois Supreme Court to review the case. Again, this does not mean that she's not coming home. It clearly means that it is on pause. You know how you take one of them little record players that we used to have back in the day when we used to put our cassette tape in it? When you listen to your favorite song and you can hit pause button. Y'all remember that? You remember the pause button you can hit pause and then you can unpause it and go right back to the same part that you was on. That's all this means. This is paused. It's not overturned. It means paused, okay? Next question. Did the state just win? No, no, no. The state did not win the case. They were granted a stay, which is simply a what? A pause in the process. The appellate court decision has not been reversed or changed. Now listen, if they go all the way up to the Supreme Court, and if they win on the Supreme Court level, if the Supreme Court says, yes, we overturn the appellate court's decision, just like the appellate court overturned the circuit decision, then that's a win. That's a win. You know how the appellate court overturned the circuit court already? That was considered a win. So the state didn't just win, but they were granted a paused in the process. That's it. That's all. They paused the process. And let me tell you, it's mainly for due process. It's more like the appellate court saying, oh, you think we was wrong? Huh? You think we was wrong? Okay. Well, take your best shot, okay? Go ahead. Because you know how some people think they know more than you know? So it's more like the appellate court saying, oh, you think you know more than we know. Okay, well, go ahead and do what you think you got to do. And then when you get basically slapped down, you're going to still have the same ruling in front of your face, okay? So pause for the cause. That's what it is. Pause for the cause, all right? Next question, number 3. Did the appellate court change their mind? No. The appellate court is still standing on its original ruling. Granting a stay does not mean that they disagree with their own decision. It just means they are allowing time for the Supreme Court to review this if they choose to. If they even pick it up, they're just allowing due process to the state. All right, we'll give you time to file it and see what they're going to say if they even pick it up. All right. So next question. Why would the courts grant the stay if they already ruled in her favor? Courts often grant stays to preserve the status quo while a higher court decides whether it wants to get involved or not. It is a procedural step, not a judgment of guilt or innocence, okay? The appellate is not saying we don't believe in our own ruling. It's just procedural. Procedural steps, baby, okay? Steps, all right? It is a procedural step in the process. Next question. What exactly is a stay? I went over this yesterday, but let me just do it again. A stay is a pause, a temporary pause. That's it. Not a permanent pause, not a forever pause, not a cancellation, not a withdrawal. It is simply a pause. It stops the appellate court decision from taking effect right away so that another court, which in this case is the Supreme Court, another court can look in on it and review the process, okay? They can decide whether to step in or not. They may not even step in. They may not step in. We have to find out, will the Supreme Court pick this up, okay? Next question, what does it mean to stay the mandate? Because that's what the paperwork say. Stay the mandate. What does it mean? The mandate is what sends the appellate court's decision back down to the trial court to be carried out. Staying the mandate means that the process is paused, so the trial court cannot act on the appellate decision, okay? So stay the mandate is basically saying, don't give the circuit court the appellate court's ruling, okay? Hold off on giving them the ruling and let me try my best luck at the Supreme Court and see what they're going to say, okay? Next question, does a stay cancels the appellate court's decision? No, the decision still exists. It's just a temporary hold. Again, it's just a temporary pause. That's it. Hashtag pause, hashtag hold down in the comments. Hashtag pause, I'm sorry, not Paul, but pause, or hashtag hold, right? It does not cancel it out. It does not reverse it. It did not say reverse and remand. It says pause, a temporary pause. It's just a stay, a pause, okay? Next one, how long can this stay last? The stay typically lasts until the Illinois Supreme Court decides whether to take the case, and if they do, until they issue a final decision. Now, I'm going to tell you this, because your girl going to be realistic with you no matter what, okay? I'm going to be realistic with you. We're looking at three outcomes, okay? 3 outcomes right now, okay? Dealing with this right here. The 3 outcomes, right, coming from the Supreme Court. The 3 outcomes would be, 1, the Supreme Court says, I'm not getting involved. Let the appellate court handle it. That's number 1. Number 2, they accept the case and they review it, and Holly stays in until they are done, okay? And then when they're done, if they side with the state, Holly stays in until trial, right? Or they accept the case and Holly stays in until they are done. But if they side with the appellate court, Holly is released, okay? That's 3 different scenarios. Now, let me tell you the 2 scenarios that's going to suck no matter what. If the Supreme Court picks it up and the appellate court agreed that she stays until the Supreme Court finished their ruling, that means Holly is going to be in there for another couple of months, y'all. Months. She may be in there for up to 60 more days or so, okay? Now, there is not a time limit. It could last longer than that, but typically in a pretrial detention case, typically it's going to be probably around 6 months. Excuse me, not 6 months, 60 days time frame. So she may have to sit for another couple of months if the Supreme Court picks it up. If they don't pick it up, we're probably looking at maybe 2 weeks. I'm sure it's still 2 damn weeks longer than what she wants to sit, right? However, it is what it is. It is what it is. Let's go to the next question, okay? Now, what happens next after the stay has been granted? The state will file a petition for leave to appeal with the Illinois Supreme Court. After that, that's the PLA. They're gonna file a PLA, which is a petition for leave to appeal. After that, the Supreme Court will decide whether they want to take the case or reject it, okay? Next question, does the Supreme Court have to take the case? No. The Supreme Court has full discretion. They can choose to take the case or decline it without any explanation. They don't even have to say why. They can say, we decline to accept this case. They don't have to say, this is the reason, that's the reason, or whatever the case. They can clearly say, we accept or decline. Okay? All right, we're hoping for a decline. We're hoping for a decline. The next question, what are the chances the Supreme Court accepts it? Well, let's just be straight up. In general, the chances are extremely low. The Supreme Court typically takes cases that involve major legal questions or conflicts in the law, not routine case-specific disputes. But we're not going to be dummies over here, right? Let's be 100%. If the state address because they got to do an appeal. If their appeal is more, we need to know the legal law for the state in this regard, they may pick it up. Okay, not just that flat out, but they have to make it seem like it's a major law issue, a major state law issue in play, not just for a single case, not just for Holly, right? So with that said, it's extremely low that they would even pick it up. However, it says that they only get involved in major legal questions. So it has to be a major legal question, okay? Next question. What happens if the Supreme Court rejects the case? If they reject the case, the stay is automatically lifted, meaning the pause button get lifted, okay? The mandate goes down to the circuit court, where it says the mandate goes into effect and the appellate court rulings move forward, which means that the mandate goes down to the circuit court. And at that point, Holly would move closer to being released under whatever conditions the trial court sets, okay? Whatever condition. She said, post your coffee link, please. I think I pinned it above, didn't I? I don't have it pinned. I thought I pinned it. Okay, let me go get my coffee link, you guys. Hold on. I thought I pinned it. My bad. Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. Give me a second. Okay, so I just pinned the coffee link. Thank you so much. So let's get back to business. Let's get back to business, baby. Let's get back to business. Okay, hold on. All right, here we go. So where was I? So what happens if the Supreme Court rejects it? If they reject the case, if they reject it, the stay is lifted, the mandate goes into effect, and the appellate court ruling moves forward. At that point, Holly would move closer to being released under whatever conditions the circuit trial court sets, okay? Next question, what happens if the Supreme Court accepts the case? If they accept the case, the stay remains in place. The case will be reviewed at the Supreme Court level, and Holly Johnson will remain detained while the process plays out. Okay? Next question, does this make the state case look stronger? Not necessarily. This move shows the state is continuing to fight. But it does not change the fact that the appellate court already ruled that they did not meet their burden for pretrial detention, okay? Now, there's nothing wrong with that. You want a prosecutor that will fight for you on your behalf, just like you want a defense attorney that will also fight on your behalf. What we're seeing here is two attorneys that's working for them pennies, baby. I ain't even gonna say pennies because, honey, them ain't no pennies. They working for them coins, okay? They're working for their hard-earned money is what they're doing, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing on the state, and it's not a bad thing on the defense. If you were involved in some type of situation or your family member, you would want a defense team to fight for you just like Ari is doing, and also vice versa. If your family was seeking justice, you would want the prosecutor to fight this hard for you as well. So they are doing their job. I still think it's an ego thing, but nevertheless, ain't nothing wrong with doing your job, okay? Ego or not, if you're doing your job, do your job and do it the best way possible, right? Okay? Now, so does it make the state look stronger? No, not really. It just means that they're fighting. They're continuing to fight. Now, does this make the defense look weaker? No. The defense already secured a favorable appellate ruling. Then it doesn't take away their win, it just pauses it, okay? This is simply the next step in the legal process. Ari still won at the appellate level thus far, okay? She already won at the appellate level. Now she will have to see if the Supreme Court will even accept it, one. And if they accept it, she would have to see if they win at that level, okay? Let's continue. Next question, if the appellate court ruled in Holly's favor, if the appellate court ruled in Holly's favor, then why is she still sitting? Okay? Well, because the stay pauses the effect of that ruling. Until the stay is lifted, the trial court cannot act on the appellate court's decision. Because the stay was granted, we just have to wait and see what the Supreme Court is going to do, whether they're going to accept it and whether they're going to agree with the appellate court saw it right or the appellate court got it wrong, okay? Now, next question. Is this just a delay tactic by the state? Well, it can be viewed that way, but it's also a legal right. The state is allowed to seek review from the Supreme Court and request a stay while doing so. Again, it's a legal right, and they're literally just fighting. They're doing their jobs. They're doing their job, okay? So it could be a delay tactic, but it could be looked at as they're also doing their job, okay? Could Holly still come home soon? Yes, it is possible. If the Supreme Court declines to take this case, things could move quickly after that, okay? So we would have to see if the Supreme Court is even going to pick it up. If they don't pick it up, everything goes as planned. And that is, Holly will be released to be home with her family while she still fights. It does not mean that the case is over. We all know that the case is not over. They still have to go to trial. But this will help her be able to fight around people that love on her and, appreciate her and, all that good stuff, right? People need motivation. They need love. They need hugs. They need affirmation. And who better to get it from than your own family, okay? So could she possibly come home soon? Yes, if the Supreme Court declines to pick up the case. Next question, is Holly stuck in jail until trial right now? No. That will depend on what the Supreme Court decides. If they reject the case, the appellate ruling will move forward and her release can be addressed. If they hold on to the case and review it, she will stay in jail until after they review, and if they agree with the state court, then yes, she will stay in until the trial. Pretty much cut and dry. She will stay in until the trial. Now, that is the worst outcome of it all, okay? Because even if she's found not guilty, beyond a reasonable doubt, she will literally still sit in jail for a year or so, okay? For a year or so, okay? So, what would be my next question? Okay, the next question. When will the Supreme Court step in? So, like, once the state files the PLA, when will they step in? The Supreme Court does not step in immediately. First, the state has to file the PLA. After that, the court will review the filing and decide whether or not to accept or reject the case. That decision can take some time. Let me see how much time. How much time can it take for the Supreme Court to review and make a decision? I think it told me yesterday 2 weeks, but let me just see. All right, let me let this read it. Hold on.
Great question. This is the part your audience really needs clarity on.
I hate when
This
they
is
do
where
all
expectations
that.
can get off track.
Goodness.
Here's the realistic timeline, broken down in a smooth, clear way. Chash, smooth read answer question. How much time can it take for the Supreme Court to review and make a decision? Answer, it depends on what stage you're talking about, because there are actually two different timelines. First, the Illinois Supreme Court has to decide whether they even want to take the case. That decision can come relatively quickly. In some situations, especially when a stay is involved, it could happen within a few days to a couple of weeks. Sometimes it may take a little longer, but it is usually not a long, drawn-out process just to decide whether to accept the case. If the Supreme Court rejects the case, everything can move very quickly after that. The stay would be lifted, the mandate would go down, and the process in the trial court would resume. However, if the Supreme Court accepts the case, that is when the timeline changes significantly. At that point, the case goes into full review, which can take several months. Briefing schedules, responses, and potentially oral arguments all take time. And during that entire period, the stay would likely remain in place. So realistically, there are two paths. One is short-term, where a decision to reject could come within days or weeks. The other is long-term, where if the case is accepted, it could stretch into months before a final decision is made. Quick one-liner for your chat. We're either looking at days to weeks or months. It all depends on whether the Supreme Court takes the case or not.
Woo, baby. So the best outcome is if the Supreme Court rejects it, okay? Because if they accept it, baby, that's a long time. It's going to be a long time. But let's read off the rest of these questions. Hold on. Here we go.
Gotcha. Here are the remaining questions in the exact same smooth, clean format so you can keep your flow consistent on stream. Question: when will the Supreme Court step in? Answer: the Supreme Court does not step in immediately. First, the state has to file its petition for leave to appeal. After that, the court will review the filing and decide whether to accept or reject the case. That decision can take some time. Question: how long does the state have to file their appeal? Answer: the state has a limited window to file their petition, typically within a set number of days after the appellate decision. The stay was granted to give them time to do that properly without the mandate taking effect. Question: what would make the Supreme Court interested in this case? Answer: the Supreme Court usually looks for cases that involve important legal questions, conflicts between courts, or issues that could affect the law statewide. They are not focused on re-arguing the facts of a single case. Question: can the state keep trying to stop her release? Answer: the state can continue to use legal avenues available to them, like filing motions or appeals, but each step has to be approved by the court. They cannot delay things indefinitely without legal justification. Question: is there anything else that could delay this even more? Answer: yes. If the Supreme Court accepts the case, that alone will extend the timeline. There could also be additional motions or procedural steps that add time, depending on how the case develops. Question: what should we realistically expect next? Answer: the next step is the state filing their petition with the Supreme Court. After that, there will be a waiting period while the court decides whether to take the case. That decision will determine how quickly things move from here. Optional closing add-on to wrap your Q&A segment. So right now, we are in a waiting phase. The appellate court already made its position clear. The only question left is whether the Supreme Court wants to step in or not. That decision is going to determine everything that comes next.
Okay, so now let's talk about what options do the defense have. Okay, hold on. Now let's go over what options does the defense attorney have to fight this. Here we go. This is talking about Attorney Ari Williams. What options? Let's go.
This is the part where you can really step into your legal analyst bag, Because the defense is not just sitting back, they do have moves here. Let's break it down clean so you can explain it with authority. Smooth read, defense options. Question: what can the defense attorney do now that the stay has been granted? Answer: even though the stay was granted, the defense still has several options to fight it and keep things moving. Stammer 1. Challenge the stay at the Supreme Court level. The defense can file a response opposing the state's petition for leave to appeal. They can argue that the appellate court already got it right. There is no major legal issue that requires Supreme Court review. This is just a case-specific dispute, not something that impacts the law statewide. Their goal here is simple: convince the Supreme Court to reject the case entirely.
Hold on, I want to read it myself because I want to talk on it. All right, so just like my little boyfriend said, right? Ari has the option right now to challenge the Supreme Court, meaning, well, not challenge the Supreme Court, let me take that back. To stop the Supreme Court, will basically say, don't take this. You know what I'm saying? It says challenge the state at the Supreme Court level. They literally can write something up, a motion, saying, don't take this on. This is just case-specific dispute. This doesn't have anything to do with a statewide issue. This is just a Holly Johnson case. That's it. No, don't accept it, right? So they can Ari can try to convince the Supreme Court to reject this case entirely, all right? Then Ari can ask the Supreme Court to lift or deny the stay. The defense can also directly challenge the state itself. They can argue the state is not likely to win on appeal. Keeping Holly detained causes unnecessary harm. The appellate court already found the state failed to meet its burden. So like, what we doing here, right? So if Ari is successful, the stay could actually be lifted early and the mandate could move forward, okay? Next, number 3, Ari could push the no statewide importance argument again. And this is one of her strongest angles. She could literally say, this case is based on specific facts, not new legal questions. There is no conflict in the law that needs clarification. The Supreme Court time should not be used for this type of case. Now, what this does is increases the chances the Supreme Court says, we're not taking this on. Okay? Number 4. Ari, it says prepare for both outcomes. A good defense attorney is always thinking ahead. So while she can fight the stay, she can also prepare for the possibility the Supreme Court accepts the case, getting ready to argue why the appellate court was correct in the first place, and stand ready to move quickly if the stay is lifted, okay? So she could do one, she could do both of those things, prepare at the same time, prepare to fight it both ways, okay? Another thing Ari could do is apply pressure through timing. Even though the stay pauses things, the defense benefits from this time too. Why is that? Well, the appellate court already ruled in her favor. The longer this drags out, the more it highlights that ruling. If the Supreme Court delays or declines, the defense is in a strong position, okay? And I said that earlier too, and we're going to explain that in a minute, all right? So now the defense is not trying to win again right now. Literally, they are just trying to stop the Supreme Court from taking the case or get the stay lifted as quickly as possible. Because once that happened, the appellate court ruling kicks back in and Holly moves closer to release. So with that being said, the defense doesn't need to reinvent the wheel. She already won in the appellate court level. So her job right now is to protect the win and to stop this from going any further. You know how when you have a ruin in your stocking and you have to take some little fingernail polish, clear fingernail polish, and you dab that right there, that ruin, to try to stop that ruin from going any further? That is what Ari Williams have to do right now. She has to stop the ruin. How does she stop the ruin? Convince. She has to argue and convince the Supreme Court that this does not belong in your court, okay? This does not belong. This has nothing to do with the Safety Act being violated or anything like that, or a misunderstanding of the Safety Act. This is not a statewide issue. This is case specific. The state attorney is arguing against me and my client, not the state of Illinois. Now, I will tell you, it depends on how the state writes it up. If they make it just about the Holly Johnson case, I could see the Supreme Court saying, hell no, we don't want it. But if they make it on a scale of a bigger issue, a statewide issue, then y'all, the Supreme Court may pick it up, okay? But it says even if the Supreme Court pick it up, Ari can still fight for the stay to be lifted while they are doing all of that, okay? She can fight, but doesn't necessarily mean that she will win, but she can fight and request for it to be lifted, okay? And she could say all this other stuff like, this is unfair process, you know, my client is having to suffer through this and be punished because the state failed to do, you know, to prove that she was a danger, and now because they lost at the appellate level, they want to take it up to the Supreme level just to stall and punish my client, okay? So I'm sure Ari is going to form the words to say what it needs to say. But what are we looking at, you guys? We are looking at a real fight right now. They are fighting. But at the end of the day, and I said this on my community wall, if the state loses at the Supreme Court level, this will make them look bad. Now, this doesn't mean that they can't eventually prove that it wasn't self-defense. I mean, they can if they got the right evidence, right? However, it does make them look bad about applying so much pressure towards something, even though they don't have the meat. They just got the potatoes and the gravy, but they don't have the meat to go with it, okay? So now my next question is going to be, can you explain what this looks like for the state if the Supreme Court accepts it and agrees with the appellate court? What does this make the state look like in their position? All right, let's listen up. I think we did that earlier, but anyway, we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again, okay? Okay.
This is a powerful angle, and if you explain it right, your audience will feel the weight of it.
Well, help me explain it.
Smooth read answer question. What does it look like for the state if the Supreme Court accepts the case and still agrees with the appellate court? Answer. If the Illinois Supreme Court takes the case and ultimately agrees with the appellate court, that is a significant loss for the state, both legally and in terms of perception. First, it means the highest court in the state reviewed the case and still concluded that the state did not meet its burden to justify pretrial detention. That reinforces the appellate court's decision and removes any doubt about whether that ruling was correct. Second, it weakens the state's position going forward. While it does not determine guilt or innocence at trial, it sends a strong signal that the state's argument for detention was not convincing, even after being fully reviewed at multiple levels of the court system. Third, it can impact how the case is viewed overall. The defense gains credibility because their arguments have now been validated not just once, but twice, including by the highest court. That can influence how the judge, the public, and even potential jurors perceive the strength of the state's case. Fourth, it raises questions about the state's strategy. If they push the case all the way to the Supreme Court and still lost, it can make it appear that they overreached or relied too heavily on arguments that did not hold up under scrutiny. However, it is important to keep this in perspective. Even in that scenario, the state can still proceed to trial. They can still present additional evidence, call witnesses, and argue their case. The Supreme Court's decision would only address pretrial detention, not whether the defendant is guilty or not.
Okay, so I have another question. Now, I know this is a least likely outcome, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. Well, when I say least likely outcome, it is I'm not going to say least likely. It is a not likely outcome, right? But I'm going to ask it anyway, okay? I'm not anticipating this, even though I know a lot of you guys have said that, but I'm going to ask it anyway, okay? Could a fail at the Supreme Court, could this make the state withdraw this case and drop it altogether, or even offer the defense a plea deal? We need to know pleas, but I'm just saying. I'm talking about some we. I'm talking about some we. All right, let's listen up.
This is a really important question, and it's where you can keep your audience grounded in reality versus perception. Smooth read answer question. If the state loses at the Supreme Court, could that make them drop the case or offer a plea deal? Answer. A loss at the Supreme Court does not automatically mean the state will drop the case. The issue being reviewed is pretrial detention, not guilt or innocence. So even if the state loses at the highest level, they still have the right to move forward with prosecution. However, it can influence how the state approaches the case moving forward. If the Supreme Court agrees with the appellate court, it reinforces the idea that the state did not meet its burden early on. That does not mean the case is weak overall, but it can raise concerns about how strong their arguments are, at least at this stage. In some situations, that kind of loss can lead the state to reassess their strategy. They may take a closer look at their evidence, their witnesses, and how the case is likely to be received at trial. That is where plea negotiations can come into play. A plea deal is always a possibility in criminal cases, regardless of what happens on appeal. If the state feels there are risks at trial, they may consider offering a deal to secure a conviction without going through a full trial. At the same time, the defense would have to agree to any plea deal. And if the defense feels confident, especially after winning at the appellate level and potentially the Supreme Court, they may choose to reject any offer and push forward to trial. As for dropping the case entirely, that is much less common. Prosecutors typically only dismiss serious charges like this if there are major problems with the evidence, witness credibility, or legal issues that make it very difficult to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay. So it don't necessarily mean that that they would drop the case. That's why I say this is probably not likely. It doesn't mean that they would drop the case, but it will make them look at, moving forward, how they feel about, how strong their case will be. Okay. Now, what questions do you guys have? What questions, if any, do you guys have? She said they are acting like she's a menace to society, yet Chicago has such a high unalive crime rate. Where is the same energy toward the repeat criminals? Shaking my head. Hey, I agree with you. I agree with you. You would think that Holly was the most aggressive murderer. You would think she was a straight up murderer and the most aggressive murderer in Chicago, like the worst ever. You would think that she shot up a whole goddamn town, a school, a mall, bombed the damn ballpark or something. Like, you would really think that she did the absolute most, okay? She said Holly followers need to send letters to the court. That doesn't help. I actually looked that up just for GP. Let me tell you what it said. Hold on. I looked it up, but I'm gonna do it again. So can you answer me again about when I asked you about people that do not support the defendant has been sending letters to the court requesting that the defense attorney get into some type of trouble because they're saying that she is posting information with the witness information in it, their names and such, and that they are trying to get her in trouble with the courts. It's multiple petitions that have went up to the court. Can you explain that again so my audience can hear? These are just YouTubers, people that have YouTube channels, and some of them are just supporters. But can you explain to me again how does court handles that, and what impact will that have on a defense attorney? All right, here we go. Y'all can hear it for yourself.
This is a really good one to break down clearly because your audience is probably thinking this has way more power than it actually does. Smooth read answer question. People are sending letters and petitions to the court trying to get the defense attorney in trouble. How does the court handle that? And does it actually matter? Answer. Courts do not operate based on public petitions, YouTube campaigns, or outside pressure from supporters. Judges are required to base their decisions strictly on the law, the evidence, and what is properly filed in the case by the attorneys involved. If members of the public send letters to the court, those communications are usually not treated as evidence and are often not considered at all. In many cases, they are simply placed in the file without any action, or they are disregarded entirely because they are considered improper outside communication. The reason for that is simple. Courts have very strict rules about fairness and due process. Both sides have to present their arguments through formal filings so that each side has a chance to respond. Random letters or petitions from the public do not follow those rules, so they typically carry no legal weight. Now, if someone is accusing a defense attorney of misconduct, there is a proper way to handle that. It would have to be raised through a formal complaint, either within the court through a motion or through the state's attorney disciplinary body. Even then, the claim would need actual evidence of wrongdoing, not just opinions or online accusations. As for the idea that a defense attorney could get in trouble for posting information, it depends on what was posted. If the information is already part of the public record, then sharing it is generally not a violation. However, if protected information like sealed documents or confidential witness details were improperly disclosed, that could raise issues. But again, that would have to be proven through proper legal channels, not through petitions or social media pressure. So realistically, these petitions and letters from YouTubers and supporters are not going to drive the court's decisions or get an attorney in trouble on their own. The court system is designed to filter that kind of outside noise out.
Okay, so those petitions are probably not even being read at all, okay? They're probably not even being read at all. They probably not paying no attention to it whatsoever, because again, it has to come through a motion or it has to come through the correct complaint department. But however, it's funny that, matter of fact, I got what they sent up. Let me have them read it. Somebody just sent me a coffee. It says I got a coffee. Hold on, let me see. Oh, thank you, Cutesy Bootsy. Thank you so very much. It says, Cutesy just made some loud noise with a $20 tip. You are doing an amazing job. Thank you, Cutesy. Appreciate the love, honey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna put up what they wrote to the court, okay? Because, hold on, let me do it right here. This is what they sent to the court. Hold on, let me airdrop it to myself. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me airdrop it. And I think they complained about her showing information, right? But do y'all remember, raise your hand if you remember Ari filing a motion. Hold on one second. Here is one of the letters to the court. Do y'all remember, by the show of hands, a motion that Ari actually tried to get the document sealed? Raise your hand if you remember that. Okay, yeah. Let's listen to what they say about this one. Okay, hold on. We're going to listen to what they say. But do y'all remember Ari asking in a motion to have the file sealed? And Judge Clancy is the one that said no. He denied having the file sealed. So since he denied having the file sealed, how could he possibly get upset because information is being leaked. Y'all listen to this.
This is perfect. You can break this down on your stream and really demystify it for your audience.
Demystify
Because on
it.
its face, it sounds serious, but legally, it's a different story. Let me give you a smooth read explanation plus analysis of this specific letter. Smooth read breakdown. Question. We're looking at one of the letters being sent to the court accusing the defense attorney of misconduct. How does the court view something like this? Answer. When you look at this letter, it's important to understand what it is and what it is not. This is not a motion filed by the state. This is not a ruling by the court. This is not a formal disciplinary complaint. This is simply a third-party letter sent to the court making allegations. Now, courts operate under very strict rules. Judges are not allowed to consider outside communications like this when making decisions in a case. This type of communication is called ex parte communication, and it is generally improper for a judge to rely on it. So in most situations, a letter like this does not carry legal weight. It may be received by the clerk's office, possibly placed in the file, but it is not something the judge uses to decide the case. Breaking down this letter specifically, let's look at what this letter is trying to do. 1, it's making accusations, not proving them. The letter claims unauthorized disclosure, bypassing privacy protections, violating Rule 3.6. But these are allegations, not findings. There is no evidence attached. There is no formal motion asking the court to rule on it. #2, it's trying to influence the court outside the process. The letter even says, open quote, the court should consider these actions, close quote. That's a red flag legally. Parties don't get to submit arguments like this unless it's filed properly, served to both sides, allowed for response. This letter skips all of that. 3, it references social media and YouTube. That actually weakens it in a courtroom context. Courts do not base decisions on YouTube discussions, public commentary, online narratives. That kind of language signals this is coming from outside the formal legal process. If this were serious, it would not look like this. If there were a real issue with the defense attorney, the state would file a formal motion, or a complaint would go to the Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission, ARDC, in Illinois. There would be evidence, exhibits, and legal arguments, not a general letter with bullet points. Real impact on the defense attorney. Realistically, this letter alone will not get the attorney in trouble. It will not affect the appeal. It will not influence the judge's ruling. For anything to happen, it must go through proper legal channels with proof. The truth your audience needs to hear. This type of letter is more about creating pressure, shaping public perception, trying to insert narrative into the case, but not about actually moving the court legally. Mic drop line for your stream. This might look official, but in a courtroom, this is noise unless it's backed by a proper filing and actual evidence.
Okay. So again, I know they had somebody told me they had like 40,000 signatures or something like that. I think this girl got in my inbox and told me they had 44,000 signatures or something like that. I'm not sure. But baby, 44,000 people just waste their goddamn time. Time that they can't even get back. They literally signed it because they literally thought that it was going to do something. All right. So anyway, it probably get filed somewhere by the clerk. I'm sure they'll probably put it up underneath their bed, burn it, make some heat for next winter time or whatever. They say it's supposed to be a cold Christmas. They might use it for burning material or whatever the case may be, but it will not shake or bake nothing in this courtroom when it comes to Ari. Okay. They are clearly wasting their times, but good try though. Good freaking try. Good try. But nevertheless, they're wasting their time. It's just a bunch of loud ass noise that does absolutely nothing to Ari. Okay. And again, Ari she's the one that filed a petition to have the case sealed. She did not want everybody out on the internet to know what she was putting in motions and vice versa, how they were responding. However, since the judge says, no, we're not sealing this case, then, hey, everybody, lottie-dottie, everybody is reading the paperwork, so we all know what's going on, okay? We all know what's going on. So with that being said, she could say, Judge, that's your fault. And I don't think they're looking at that because they want to get her for exposing information when she's asked. She asked, request the sealed documents. The judge told her no. So how you gonna get mad at me because I put in the motion the witnesses' names? Hell, that's what their damn names are. What you want me to describe them as? Okay, DoorDash worker, crossing guard, loudmouth liar, or whatever, right? So anyway, but with that said, all the names went in there and it was shown to the public. She asked for the records to be sealed. They said no, which means everything that goes in there, every name, every whatever that goes into the motion, we'll be able to read it. We will be able to see it and we will be able to read it. The paperwork will be available, okay? So, hey, if they would have sealed the records, guess what? We wouldn't know who witness number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 was. We would all just be sitting up here guessing, okay? So, yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So whoever wrote that letter, baby, you probably could have went and made you some money as an Uber driver, okay? Then to go and obtain 44,000 signatures for a letter that ain't going to mean not diddly squat, okay? All right. Now, there is a young lady in here that says, let me get back to it. She says, Ari knows her client is doomed. That's why she is falsifying evidence. All of a sudden, she is getting anonymous calls saying Romika attacked Holly. Come on now. How you know she didn't get them calls before? How do you know that she didn't get those calls before? And to be honest with you, if we have to be 100% honest, I was always told, even though I did want to at one time or two, I was always told don't become a lawyer because they all lie. They all falsify. They all add on, take away, and subtract, and divide, and multiply, and all of that stuff. I heard they all lie. And you know what? Basically, attorneys get paid to lie. If that lie is within legal and allows you to win your case, then baby, look, by all means necessary. Now, it is what it is. They all lie. I'm sure the state lied. The state lied in the proffer. The state lied in the proffer. The state said that witness number 4 saw the same thing that witness number 3 saw. The state lied in the proffer. I'm sure since we're covering cases over here, since everybody now want to cover cases, everybody want to cover cases now. Y'all hear that? Everybody want to cover cases now. Everybody want to break down cases. Everybody want to break down cases. But nevertheless, everybody want to break down cases now. So with that being said, we're going to hear a whole lot of attorneys lying, okay? We're going to hear them lying. Now, I don't know if this happened or not. I don't talk to Ari. I don't have no, Ari don't talk to me. Ari don't know me. So I don't talk to Ari. So I don't know who anonymous calling her or not. But if we're going to call out Ari as a liar, let's call all the attorneys out as liars, okay? Because that's what they said. They get paid to lie. They get paid to lie, okay? All right? It is what it is. So, I'm sure if Ari is lying, I'm sure the state attorney is lying too, baby. You better know it. So anyway, so with that being said, yeah, I don't think she thinks her client is doomed. From what I heard she looked dead in the prosecutor's face on day 1 and said, you will not win this case. So that might be another reason why the state is going hard in the paint, because, you got a black woman that looked a white man in the face and said, you will not win this case. I don't know. What do y'all think? Y'all think this shit is personal? Do you think it's personal? She said how to use, when to use, how not to use words. Say what now? How to use, when to use, and how not to use words. Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's something legal. I'm sure that's something legal. You know what I'm saying? Because, I'm sure they know how to use it, what to say. You know what I mean? Hey, she said she got anonymous caller. Who knows? It could have been her damn, it could have been her husband called her. That's anonymous. Who knows, you know? She said this case is only popping on the internet, not high profile. Right, it's really just popping on the internet. You are absolutely correct. And to be honest with you, you want to know why it's popping, but because it became a us against them type of mentality or a group, right? The us is against them. That's why it's popping on the internet. Us against them. Now, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Sometimes I say to myself, God damn it, Cassandra, Cassie, what you called me for? I shouldn't have gotten involved in this case. But at the same time, I say, nah, because I'm fighting for what I believe. I feel that Holly is justified in self-defense based on the evidence and based on the fact that she was minding her own damn business. So I said, yeah, we took a beat down for taking on this case, but at the same time, it is what it is. I would rather take a beat down and lose people or, have people drag me because they dragging me in the name of the Son, the name of the Father, and the name of the Holy Ghost, all because they don't like that I am covering this case. Majority of them is because they don't like them covering the case. Some of them just don't like the fact that I'm getting paid covering this case and other cases. Baby, they can't stand my paycheck, okay? They don't like my paycheck, all right? So they feel like I should be working for free. Y'all remember when somebody told me to turn my monetization off for 30 days? What's wrong with that Who the fuck does that? Who go to work? Would you go to McDonald's and flip fries for free for 30 days? Would y'all? Would you recommend anybody to put on a hat and a smock and go flip French fries and burgers and chicken nuggets for 30 days for free? Yeah, okay. She said, I feel sorry for Holly. She didn't ask or want to be a part of this mess. Romika was doing all of this to the other women before Holly was thought of. Exactly. You're right, Miss Pretty. And that's what a lot of people do not understand or even want to accept. Because what I hear from them is, damn all that harassing she was doing. It don't matter. Either Holly should have took that ass whooping or she should have ran. That's what I'm getting, right? That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm hearing, so to speak. They basically saying it don't matter what Romika did, that Holly should not have pulled out her weapon to protect herself and her child and her unborn child on her belly, right? She said, my daughter is in law school, just finished a course. It was on lingo, word usage. Yep, words matter, baby. Words matter. Listen, it ain't a lie if the words line up, right? If you use the words in the right way, it's not a lie. It's not a lie, okay? Seriously. So with that being said, y'all, it is what it is. I mean, I don't think the case is popping on the outside of the world. I think it's just an internet thing, and I think it's mainly because of the mafia was formed. The mafia was morphed. She said, yeah, I sent this to the court, laughing my ass off, and if they did, it doesn't matter. Yeah, somebody, there's a bunch of people that probably sent this to the courts, but baby, they wasting their time. She said, so they playing mind games on their followers. Hell yeah, they playing mind games. Or, you know what, to be honest with you, they may not even know themselves. They may not know themselves. They may seriously think that it's gonna shake a bait. She said the same public outcry that got Holly locked up, I don't see why it couldn't help Holly if her supporters flooded the DA for her release. Because I just feel like you don't want to make the same noise that someone else make. And it may have a different effect. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that you should make the same noise. Sometimes when you only have one side making noise, it actually makes them look kind of just noisy. That's it. That's all. It makes them look just noisy. Oh, thank you, Rita. Thank you so much for the loud noise with that $20 tip. She said, I just love how you break things down so calm and very easy to understand. The best, hands down. Aw, thank you so much, Rita. I do appreciate you, girl. Thank you for the coffee. She said, you sound very slow. Your mama sounds slow. I mean, you sound slow like your mama. But I sound slow, but you over here. All you got to do is just speed it up just a little bit. Put me on fast forward and I will be a little bit faster, okay? It might be because of my, my southern accent kicks in sometime. All you got to do is just speed it up, fast forward it, but you over here, okay? You over here. So it must be a reason why. All right. She said, Amor, did you see the one content creator who showed a fake letter like the court wrote them back? No, which one? Which content creator? Oh yeah, I did see that one. Where she said that the state emailed her back. Yeah, girl, I saw that damn lie that they tried to act like they was important. If that's the one you're talking about, that they said that they understand and they got me up on the investigation. They gonna get me and all this other shit. Yeah, I listen to that bullshit. Boy, I swear they just be lying. It's some lying mofo. You talking about Ari lying. It's some bloggers that don't do nothing but lie. She talking about, yes, laughing my ass off. Girl, I heard that foolishness. That's the same one that lied on her kids. What can you expect? You know what I'm saying? Girl, bye. It be some bona fide ass liars out here, but hey, I digress, girl. I don't keep up with them no more because I don't want nothing to do with them. I done moved out. I done moved out of their way. I don't have nothing to do with them folks. You hear me? Baby. They can keep it moving, child. She said, I ran that through ChatGPT and they proved that that letter was a lie. Girl, a straight up ass lie. But you know, they look at it to where they convince their supporters of that shit. And you know, when you ain't got that good of education, you know what I'm saying? When you believe a car is more important than a degree, then that's what you come up with. That's what you come up with. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Levette, for the loud noise made up in this mofo. She said, support the host with a coffee. Oh, thank you, Vet. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, love. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so listen, it is what it is. When the audience lack education and they only relying on what you say, that's what they're gonna get. They're gonna believe whatever you tell them. But you know, you gotta know your audience. You have to know your audience. I'm glad my audience is full with educators, you know? Educators, educated people, sophistication, and all of that good stuff. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We believe in thinking with our brain, not our damn emotions, okay? Not with the knot in our throats, okay? We know how to read. We know how to interpret law. Can you imagine somebody saying they want to break down a legal case without reading the law? Listen, stay away from people that say that they're going to break down a legal case and don't even quote not one piece of the law. Baby, please. Okay? She said, as you can see, they concocted a bunch of lies. Girl, a lie and a half or two or three or four. Why would the courts be investigating you? I mean, damn, you blogging with your opinion. Girl, I was told that I was being investigated because I posted on my community wall or on my Facebook who the witnesses was that was already listed in the publicly going around all over the internet motion. And I got it from one of the ones that say they justice for Ramika. The same liar that lied on her kids. You know what I'm saying? I got it from her. How you gonna release it and then turn around and get mad because I released the names? Make that make sense. You released it first on your panel. You tried to hide it at the last minute, but you got to be quicker than me. You got to be quicker than me, okay? So that is what it is, y'all. That is what it is. But listen, a pause does not mean a stop. It really just means slow down, okay? That's just what's happening in this case. It is slowing down, okay, you guys? That's all. This case is slowing down. It's paused. Now, you might hear some people out there celebrating, thinking that they won something, but they damn sure weren't celebrating the other day. They was making up all type of excuse. She get out because she preggo. She pregnant. They feel sorry for her because she pregnant. Now today they're going to be celebrating, fist bumping each other and all that shit, right? But they're celebrating a pause. But then their mouth going to drop all the way down to their damn feet when the Supreme Court comes back with their ruling, and then they're going to go back to the Supreme Court letting her out because she's pregnant. I wonder what they're going to say about the Supreme Court. What do you think? What do you think they're going to say about the Supreme Court? Oh, y'all, let me let y'all see this right here, honey. Y'all, when I tell you, you can't make this up. Give me a second, baby. Hold on. When I tell you, you can't make this up. Hold on. I think I took a screenshot on my, did I do my computer or did I do my iPad? Hold on. I think I may have done the computer. I was like, say it ain't so. I thought I did my phone actually. Let me see. Is this it? No, that ain't it. Let's do recent. Hold on. Girl, let me let y'all see this. When I tell you, sometimes I feel like we are not, or some people are not dealing with a full deck of cards. Look at this right here, y'all. Let me read it. Let me read it. Let me read it to you. Let me read it. I feel like the Judge Johnson voted yes because she is not sure if she is her family and would feel bad for putting her in jail, because if somebody tell me they name Blackman or Hicks, I'm going to take it easy on them just because I think they may be a relative. So yeah, okay. And Keys said 100%, 100%, 100%. So them jokers think the appellate court. Johnson in the appellate court ruled yeah because she might be related to Holly. Oh. So how the hell you gonna say you think the appellate judge agreed because her last name was Johnson and she think that she might be connected or related to the Johnson? And the Johnson ain't even spelt the same. It's a different type of Johnson anyway. But that doesn't even matter. It's just the fact that this person said it and Keys agreed to it, okay? That this is why the appellate court agreed with Holly, because they last name Johnson. And this person, you know they ain't no judge and will never be a judge. I don't even think they even realize that the judge has to abide by the law, right? But the fact that this person said that if somebody last name was Blackman or Hicks, that they would take it easy on them, okay? All based on their last name. Are you kidding me? That's why this person does not belong in the courtroom, okay? That's why this person probably don't have education at all. This is the type of shit that we literally deal with, okay? I thought this shit was so funny. I had to take a screenshot because this is stuck on stupid. And the person came over here and said, you slow. She probably was the one that wrote this shit, okay? She probably is the one that literally wrote this shit, okay? I feel like the Judge Johnson voted yes because she is not sure if she is her family and would feel bad for putting her in jail. Listen, I don't know about y'all, but if my family member did something fucked up or whatever against the law, they going to jail. I don't know. If you was a judge, first of all, if you was a judge, and if your family, even if you wasn't a judge, hell, if you wasn't a judge, if your family member did something wrong and you know they did something wrong, wouldn't you encourage them to turn themselves in? I would literally encourage them to turn themselves in. No, you got to turn yourself in. No. I damn sure want to hide them at my house. Well, if you don't turn yourself in, get the fuck away from my house. Don't come over here. I am not going to get in trouble for holding holding a fugitive. Get away from me. Get away from me. Don't call me. They might be tapping your phone. Don't call me. Don't come around me. I don't want your phone pinging around me. I would not. be no I don't even know what is a harbinger or fugitive or something like that. Hell no, get away from me. She said, Amor, don't try to make logic out of stupidity. Girl, I'm not. I just find it to be funny, especially for the slow ones that come over here and tell me I'm slow. But y'all got people over there representing y'all talking like this. This is crazy to me. She said, I would not. I'm not harboring any fugitive. Okay, I'm not about to do you know that's jail time? That is jail time. I'm not going to jail because of no family member of mine that did something wrong. You do something wrong, you better go. Hey, they say if you do the time, if you do the crime, you better do the time. If you do the crime, you better do the time. Period. She said, but Ramika ran up on Holly. You don't make a U-turn and then pop out on Kendrick Lamar energy. No. Exactly. Yeah, and it's funny how they want us to believe that she's the one that pulled up on that type of energy, but yet she had arms folded and back, like, no, I don't want no smoke, Holly. I don't want no smoke, Holly. Holly. I don't want no smoke, Holly. I'm afraid. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. All right. That's a lie and a half right there. You hear me? So anyway. But again, this is just a temporary pause. It is not a stop, a cancellation. Now, y'all, if it go to the Supreme Court, if they accept it, honey, if they accept it, this is what I'm going to do. Hold on. This is what I'm going to do. Let me go find me some music, right? Okay. But nevertheless, I hope you know, Lakeisha. If you don't, let me go ahead and tell you. Not Lakeisha, Latita Walls. Lakita Walls. I'm sorry. Let me tell you, a stay is just a pause, okay? It's just a pause. That's it. That's all. Don't get too excited, though, because you might be crying in 2 weeks, okay? Don't be over there crying, ready to pull your hair out your head, okay? I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know, all right? She said Holly will have to sit just for a second. At the same time, Holly defended herself against Romika. There is a such thing called innocent until proven guilty. Holly did wrong, yes, but she would be all right. Holly did wrong? Huh? Holly did wrong, but she'll be all right. Yeah, no. She said, I'm just saying it was granted. I know. Well, I mean, I think we all know. That's what the title say. That's what the title say. She said, Keys just be saying and agreeing to anything. He's just a full of bullshit. Yeah, Keys like, let me keep these women over here happy. Let me keep them happy. Let me keep them happy, you know? She said, Holly coming home, this case not worth no Supreme Court watch. They want to make up their own laws, and that's what they can't do. I mean, but it is due process. You know, they got to allow them due process. She said, Holly coming home on Monday. I don't think it would be Monday. I don't think that the Supreme Court will make a decision by Monday. So I'm going to let you know. Because today is Friday and they already ordered the stay, then Holly's not coming home on Monday. The Supreme Court probably won't even get this. Matter of fact, I know she won't come home on Monday because the Supreme Court won't even get whatever they're going to get until the state have to write up the PLA. So if the states doesn't write the PLA, if they use all the time, which is up to 35 days, then we already looking at a month and 5 days, right? So, I mean, they're allowed a month and 5 days, but I don't think they'll take that long. However, the Supreme Court can't even accept it or reject it until the state actually submit it. So as soon as they submit it, I'll let y'all know. I will let y'all know. But in my opinion, I don't think that they're going to be rushed to do it. I think they're going to do it before the 35 days, but I think that they're going to be like, I get to it when I get to it. I get to it when I get to it, okay? She said, okay, I'll keep praying for her. Yes, no, definitely keep praying for her. I'm sure she needs all the prayers she can get. She needs all the prayers. I'm sure she wants it. I'm sure she can use it. I'm sure she, appreciate it, Amor, did you see the live with the lady that did the phone interview with Justin? She wanted to let Cora family know that she is concerned about Cora's safety. Okay. No, we'll listen to that after this one, baby. Thank you. No, I haven't seen the live though. As you can see, they connect. Oh, I read that one. Okay. All right. So anyway, that's the latest and the greatest. I don't have any other questions. Do y'all have any other questions about that? If not, we'll go into our second topic. This is not the Supreme Court matter. They acting like this was a serial killer they will be mad when the judge let her out. They're going to be mad either way, right? They're going to be mad when the judge let her out, and then they're also going to be mad when the state is, not be able to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, okay? They're going to say things like, oh, it was by luck, or, they're going to say all type of shit. Or they might just say, because the judge's last name was Johnson and they felt sorry for her. The judge's last name was Johnson. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's talk about our next topic. I don't know. What do y'all want? Cora or David? D4vd or Cora, y'all. Which one y'all want? Cora or David? And when I say Cora, I will go over the young lady that she's talking about, her live for today, that she said that she's concerned about Cora. Which one y'all want? Cora or David? I see one person say Cora. Let me get at least 3. She said Korea. Korea. I was stationed in Korea. Cora or David? Cora or David? I see one that say David. I see one that say David. Y'all don't want to hear about David? All right, let me find this young lady page. I think her name is Unique something. Somebody told me earlier that she gave me a shout out. I didn't see it. What was her name? P.A. Parsha, I think. Okay, here you go. She said David, Cora, both if we want. It doesn't matter. That's who they should be acting a fool about. Girl, Kissy. They should be acting a fool about David. Why ain't nobody talking about that this dude chopped up his 14-year-old girlfriend? Why they ain't talking about that? I don't get that. Ain't nobody talking about it on this side. I don't see not one content creator talking about how a 21-year-old man, unalived and dismembered. Y'all, maybe we need to talk about that. Let's bring some light. We'll get Cora in a minute, y'all. Let's bring some light to David, y'all. Let's bring some light to David, because I don't see nobody. I could be wrong, but I don't see nobody over here. Is anybody talking about David? His crazy ass? Let's talk about the D4vd, right? The D4v, or however you say it. Let's talk about David right quick. We'll do Cora last. D4d. I'll be forgetting how you say that shit. But anyway, let's talk about this crazy mofo right here. I'm going to change my thumbnail to update this guy, okay? Because this is crazy work, y'all. Crazy ass work. Now, the autopsy has been released and everything. Now, mind you, this man was suspected for a murder against his girlfriend. Let's put him up so y'all can see who he is, right?
After months of speculation, singer...
Hold on. He is a singer, and this is not just Chicago news, okay? This is actually worldwide news. Do y'all hear me? Worldwide. This is viral news. Viral. And I have not seen nobody speak on this at all. What this man did was sick. It is. It's absolutely sick. Okay? Now, again, he's being charged, but it does not mean that he did it until he is found guilty. But let's talk about it. Okay? She said, I have not been following. Girl, when you hear about it, J. Lou, you're going to throw up. Okay? You're going to literally throw up. The autopsy is out. First of all, before I even get too deep into this story, I would just say, my heart goes out to the family, okay, for this young teen. But at the same time, I do have questions for the damn parents. I really do. Because at 14 years old, your daughter was found unalive, but yet she was coming to you at 11, 12, and 13-year-old telling you she got a boyfriend. So, got a boyfriend named David. Now, I know sometimes girls can have high school crushes and shit like that. But would you allow your 11, 12, 13-year-old to say she has a boyfriend? I wouldn't even allow my daughter to say those words, okay? If, when she was that age. I'd be like, girl, you ain't got no damn boyfriend. Anyway, let's listen and then let's get into what's going on in this case. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this out. We're going to hear the news and then we're going to, we'll do Cora last or in a separate live. Give me a second. Let's pull this sick shit up because I've been wanting to do this for days now. Here we go.
After months of speculation, singer David pleaded not guilty to murder charges this afternoon. He's accused of killing a teenage girl whose dismembered body was found in his car.
CBS LA's Jeff Nguyen is live in downtown LA where David appeared in court. Jeff?
Pat and Gio, earlier the district attorney told us that he believes the motive in this murder case is a cover-up, an effort to hide a sexual relationship between an adult music star and an underage teen. Singer David Anthony Burke walking into a holding area for his arraignment Monday wearing a black hoodie. His attorneys entering a not guilty plea on murder charges on his behalf.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death.
The 21-year-old music star arrested last Thursday as seen in this video from the California Post, appearing to be wearing the same hoodie he had on in court Monday. He's accused of repeatedly sexually abusing Celeste Rivas Hernandez, who was 14 at the time of her death. The victim had been reported missing at least 3 times in 2024. Her friends say she had been in a romantic relationship with Burke.
These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring.
During a news conference with LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell, LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman says the case against Burke is built around 3 points. First-degree murder with special circumstances of lying in wait, committing a crime for financial gain to maintain his lucrative music career, and murdering a witness in an investigation.
The witness to the investigation was Celeste, and the investigation was into the lewd and lascivious sexual acts committed by Mr. Burke.
Investigators say they had learned Celeste was in a sexual relationship with Burke when he was an adult, and she was a minor under the age of 14. And they allege he killed her after she threatened to report their sexual relationship. Investigators say Celeste went to the Hollywood Hills home where Burke had been staying in April of last year.
She was never heard from again.
About 5 months later, her dismembered and decomposed remains were found in the front trunk of a Tesla registered to Burke. Chief McDonnell addressed the criticism his department has been facing for not providing details when rumors have been spreading about the investigation.
I want to be clear about something. My duty is not to fuel speculation, it's to deliver justice, and that requires patience and discipline on everybody's part.
And David Burke is expected back in court this Thursday. In the meantime, the judge is ordering the release of the medical examiner's report into this investigation. So far, the cause of Celeste Rivas Hernandez's death has not been made public. Reporting in downtown Los Angeles.
Okay, I think they made it public now. But y'all, let me just put it back on here when he was in court. So right now, and they said he got a bad attorney. Let me see if I can get the one with his attorney on there right here. Oh, no, not that one. It won't stop on it. Huh. Oh, right here. So that's his attorney. Now, I heard his attorney is a beast, okay? Let me see if I have her name. But I heard his attorney is a beast, but he pled not guilty. But let me give you a little background of who David Burke is, okay? Let me put his picture up right quick, and then we're going to talk about him right quick. And I'll tell you the latest of what's going on with the case. He is a singer, and he is accused of KIing in the most gruesome way a 14-year-old girl. She had just turned 15 like a week after her murder, but at the time of her death, she was only 14 years old. Okay, hold on. Let me put his picture up. I'm going to put this picture right here up. Is this a good picture? Ooh, he look crazy. Hold on, let me see if I can get a good picture. Okay, this might be a good picture. Hold on. All right, let me see if I can put this picture up right quick. And then we're going to talk about this brother. Okay. There he go right there, you guys. He is a singer, but let me give you a little bit of background. I did a video on him a while ago, but some of you guys may not have been a part of that live stream. So let's go from the top, all right? And let me tell y'all what's going on, all right? So who is he? David. His name is David Anthony Burks, right? But his stage name is spelled D, the number 4, VD, okay? David. And it's pronounced David. He is 21 years old. He's a singer and a songwriter. He's originally from New York, but he was raised in Houston, Texas, where he actually resides in California. He started his career around 2021 creating music for gaming videos. He didn't even know that he had the talent that he actually has. It was literally founded overnight. He literally was just editing videos and things of that nature during gaming, streaming, and shit like that. And it went viral. And just like kind of like Cardi B, went viral and he got put on just like that, okay? Literally, all by chance. So he breaks out a hit called Romantic Homicide and Here With Me in 2022, all right? So in 2025, one of his albums, he debuted one of his albums and it just went wow, okay? Everybody started loving on him and he literally became famous like overnight, you guys, okay? All right. Now, before this case even started, he was seen as a fast-rising young artist with mainstream success. Everybody loved him. I didn't know who the hell he was, but I'm saying those that knew who he was, okay? All right? So with that being said, the victim, now let's put her photo up. Celeste is her name. And matter of fact, let me put her photo up with him right here, okay? Now, this is mugshot. Matter of fact, we're going to use this one. Let's use this one right here. Let's use your mugshot. We ain't going to have you looking good. Because this is his late. Now, I want y'all to see him right there, right? You see David right there, right? I want to show you after, 7 months of waiting to be whether he was going to be charged or not. This dude he looked like he done aged 10 damn years. Thank you so much, Candy, for the loud noise. Thank you. She said, for my girl, Jalen. Aw, I would definitely let her know that was from you, baby, okay? But thank you so much for that $30 tip, okay? So y'all see David right here, right? 21 years old. He still look youthful, right? Well, this is him today. This is him today. What he looked like today, huh? And this is the young girl that he is being alleged of unaliving in the most gruesome way, awful way ever, okay? All right? She said that guilt is eating him up. Yeah, look at him. Does he look like he's 21 years old to you? This look like something, it could be Celeste's father, okay? It literally looked like he could be Celeste's dad. So nevertheless, this lady is Celeste Hernandez is her name. Celeste Rivas Hernandez, okay? Let's continue, baby. So Celeste was age 14 at the time of her death. She was from California. She was reported missing by her family in 2024, right? But of course, when you've known to run away, the police is going to just deem you as a runaway. And that's what they did to Celeste. They deemed her as a runaway because she came back before and she left again. So they just deemed her as a runaway, okay? Now, she was reported missing in 2024. Her body was discovered. Y'all ain't going to believe this. But I want y'all to guess for me. What day do you think they discovered her body? Do anybody know? Does anybody know what day they discovered her body? Does anybody know? She said like a 1980 crackhead. He looked like a 1980 crackhead. I'm going to give it just a few to see if anybody knows. The date they discovered her body. She said on her birthday. Well, do you know the exact date? Because I don't know her birthday exactly. Kissy, you've been keeping up with the story. September the 8th. September the 8th of 2025. Does that date sound familiar? That's why I would be thinking that more people would be covering this, but they're not. September the 8th is the same day Romika passed away, because that's the same day of the incident, okay? September the 8th, same day. Romika's death and Celeste's death. Well, that's not her death date, but she was found on September the 8th, and September the 8th was the same day all the commotion about the Holly and Romika story started, okay? Romika was unalived on September the 8th. Okay, nevertheless, so her body was found on September the 8th. Her body was found in David's Tesla. So a Tesla has their trunk in the front of their car, so they call it a frunk, all right? So the body was dismembered and decomposed inside of his Tesla that was about approximately maybe 10 to 13 minutes away from his house, okay? Now let's get down to the real nitty-gritty, because once they found out that the vehicle was found not far from David's home and in his vehicle, they were like, what is going on? Now, at that time they found the body. This joker is in Europe somewhere on tour. And even when he heard that there was a dismembered and decomposed body found in his vehicle, he continued to tour. He continued the tour. He continued to go on stage and sing. What? How? Right? So people were like, maybe he don't know this person. Maybe somebody stole his vehicle, right? What is going on? And then for months, you guys, so far 7 months, they did not arrest him at all. And people had started forming opinions of he must have been framed, okay? Nevertheless, 7 months later, David was charged with first-degree murder. That's the main charge. With special circumstances, which makes it worse. Murder by lying in wait. Lying in wait meaning that he sat and waited for her to come, and he knew that he was going to kill her. He literally waited for her just to kill her, lying in wait. And that alone carries the death penalty, okay? If they want to push it to that, he could face up to the death penalty. Not up to, but he could face the death penalty with that. No, I say up to because they don't have to give it to him. But the charges, and I'm going to go over them, are going to be life without parole or the death penalty, okay? Now, I wanted to read off these for the state of California. Okay, hold on one second. We're going to come back to the rest of the story, but I wanted to read this for me. Give me a second. This is for the both of us. Because I'm not really familiar with the California law. I got to get familiar with it, especially we're going to be covering this case, just like I did with the Illinois law, okay? So with that being said, let's listen to what California laws, the one where he's being charged with. We're going to go back up to what he's charged with, but we're going, okay, let me tell you first and then we'll talk about it. So he's being charged with first-degree murder, with special circumstances, murder by lying in wait, murder to prevent testimony, silencing a witness, and murder for financial gain, okay? So those are first-degree murder with 3 special circumstances. And then additional charges is continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14, lewd and lascivious acts with the minor. I think that's how you say it. Mutilation of a human remains, and use of a deadly weapon. And then additional charges, ongoing sexual relationship with the victim, possible contact started when she was only 12 years old, and the possession of a large amount of child SA material. Y'all heard me. Y'all heard me? Did y'all hear me? Look at all these goddamn going charges. Hold on. Let me put these charges in so that we can go over them. Hold on. Fully explain all these charges. Hold on. Can you fully explain all these charges based on California law? Here we go, y'all. Let's read these charges and how they apply to the California law. And let's find out what Luvius or look, I don't even know that word, y'all. I messed it all up. Okay. Ooh, it's a lot of it. Ooh, my goodness. Look at all these charges. You talking about some charges. Oh, my God. But they being silent. They don't care about David. They don't care about David chopping up a 14-year-old girl. They just be stuck. They just be stuck. Okay, hold on. Damn, it's a lot. Ooh, we about to learn today, y'all. Y'all might as well turn y'all volume up and just get ready to learn, baby. Just get ready to learn. This is a lot, y'all. This is a lot. Okay, here we go.
All right, let's go charge by charge, clean, accurate, and California law specific, so you can break this down on your stream like a legal analyst. Main charge, first-degree murder, California Penal Code 7 wage 189. What the law says. First-degree murder equals intentional, premeditated killing.
Hold on.
The prosecution must prove, one, someone was...
Hold on. Let me get a smooth read. Take away. Okay. Can you take away all emojis? All right. Sorry about that, y'all. I don't want it to make them funny sounds because they don't know how to read the emojis. I just want a smooth read. That's it. That's all. This is a lot. Oh, my God. Lewd and lascivious acts. Is that how you say it? Lascivious. Lewd and lascivious acts. I have no idea what that means, but we're about to learn today together, okay? All right, here we go.
Absolutely. Here's the same breakdown in a clean, smooth read format with no emojis or symbols, ready for narration. In California, first-degree murder means the prosecution is alleging an intentional and premeditated killing. To prove this, they must show that a person was killed, that the defendant caused the death, that the defendant intended to kill, and that the act was willful, deliberate, and premeditated. Willful means intentional. Deliberate means the decision was considered. Premeditated means the decision to kill was made before the act, even if only moments before. The law does not require long-term planning. A brief but conscious decision can still qualify. Special circumstances take a first-degree murder charge to a much higher level. These are specific findings that, if proven, increase the punishment from 25 years to life, to either life without parole or the death penalty. One of those is murder by lying in wait. This requires proof that the defendant concealed their true intent, waited for an opportunity, and then carried out a surprise attack. Courts look at whether the victim was unsuspecting, whether the defendant created a false sense of safety, and whether there was a period of waiting before the attack. This is about setting someone up and striking when they cannot defend themselves. Another is murder to prevent testimony, often described as silencing a witness. The prosecution must show that the victim was or could have been a witness, and that the killing was done to stop them from reporting or testifying. The case does not have to already be filed. It is enough if the defendant believed the victim could expose them. This type of allegation often connects the killing to another crime and shows a motive to avoid consequences. Murder for financial gain requires proof that the killing was...
Let's stop there for a moment. So we know what the lying in wait was, right? The murder lying in wait. Basically, they saying, and it does require proof. And they said they got a whole lot of text messages. I heard it was so many text messages and things of that nature that proves that that's what he was doing. I don't know if he was texting his friend or what, but he invited her. And apparently he already knew that this was going to happen. And he was just waiting for an opportunity to do it. That's the lying in wait. But the next one, to prevent testimony or to silence a witness, they're saying that Celeste, was the witness. She was threatening to tell that they were involved sexually, that they had a sexually involved relationship, which would have stopped his career. And that's where you get the financial gain from, which would have stopped his career, all of his endorsements, all the money he was getting from his tours. And it would have made him look really, really bad and possibly put him in jail, okay? So he needed to get rid of her so that so he can continue to advance on financially, all right? Then the other one, what did I say? Murder for financial gain. Of course, it requires proof, but it requires proof that the killing was carried out for money and some financial gain. And this could include an insurance payout, inheritance, or being paid to commit this killing. The key is that the financial gain must be a primarily motive, not just a side effect, meaning that they got to be some type of text messages where he is telling somebody this is why he want her unalived, all right? So beyond the murder charge, there are additional charges that carry their own serious penalties. Now let's get into that goddamn relationship that this man was in with a 14-year-old. She was 14 when she passed, but they said that it could have been as young as 11 or 12 when they met in a gaming chat room, okay? It was like a streaming chat. They met in a streaming chat together, okay? And she was young, very, very young. Nevertheless, continuous SA of a child under the age of 14. When the victim is under 14, the defendant had recruited access to recurring access to this child, and there were at least 3 acts of SA over a period of 3 months. Okay, this is what California requires. This charge is designed for ongoing abuse and does not require prosecutors to prove the exact dates for every act. It carries a sentence of 25 years. They just have to prove, again, that it was at least 3 acts over 3 months to get him on this charge. And this joker is facing 25 years to life. The next one, lewd and lascivious acts. Now, I want them to read this because I have no idea what the hell this is. Let me have them, because I want them to even pronounce this word. Hold on. Give me a second. Because I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correct. So let me have them to pronounce that for me. Here we go.
Here's a clean, smooth read version you can use on your stream. Lewd and lascivious acts with a minor under California law refers to any sexual touching involving a child under the age of 14 that is done for sexual arousal, gratification, or abuse. The law does not require intercourse. It covers a wide range of conduct, including direct physical touching, encouraging a child to engage in sexual behavior, or causing a child to touch themselves or someone else for a sexual purpose. What matters most is the intent behind the act. The prosecution must prove that the conduct was done with sexual intent, not that it resulted in physical injury or that it involved penetration. Each charge is treated separately, meaning if there are multiple alleged acts, each one can be charged as its own count. Depending on the facts of the case, each count can carry several years in prison, and the penalties can increase if there are aggravating factors such as force, fear, or a position of authority over the child. This type of charge is taken very seriously under California law because it is designed to protect children from any form of sexual exploitation, not just the most extreme acts.
Okay, so with that being said, this could be, and how it's proven, it could be that he texted her, and y'all already know we do this sometime, right? Or we did when we was younger. Show me your, you know what? Or I want to see you play with yourself, you know? I mean, I know this might sound nasty, but I'm just keeping it real with y'all. Show me your, you know what? Or let me see you play with yourself, or whatever the case may be. This could be that. So if he asks, when you see me, are you going to, are you going to pleasure me? Are you going to, let's just keep it with pleasure. Or when I see you, I want to pleasure you down there or whatever, right? So it could be that type of talk, because this says it don't even have to require touching at all. It does not require intercourse. It could literally require, arousal, gratification, right? So literally it could just mean, oh, it does say the conduct does include touching. Okay, encouraging the child to engage. Okay, it does. It says wide range of conduct it includes direct touching or encouraging a child to engage in sexual behaviors, or causing a child to touch themselves or someone else for a sexual purpose, okay? So again, it could be, hey, I want to see you play with yourself, stuff like that or whatever, right? All right, so that's what that means. Let's go back up. The next one is, where were we? Okay, the next one is mutilation of human remains involving unlawfully dismembering or altering a body. This is often used by prosecutors to show consciousness of guilt, suggesting an attempt to hide evidence or delay identification. And y'all, not right now, but we are going to get into how this man dismembered her body, allegedly, okay? Because right now, that's what the prosecutor is saying, that he did it. There hasn't been no proof yet that they put out that he did it. However, the prosecutor has been basically doing conferences or whatever, and saying that they can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this is this sick motherfucker, right? That he did what they're saying that he did. Not too many prosecutors or defense attorneys come out unless they feel strongly about their case. Well, this prosecutor came out and said he did what the hell they saying that he did, okay? And they can prove it is what they saying. They can prove it, all right? Thank you, Barbara Clark. Appreciate you, honey. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's my silent supporter. Thank you so much, Barbara C. Appreciate that love. So mutilation, and we're going to get into all the gruesome stuff that he did, but let's continue on. His charges. Use of a deadly weapon in an enhancement that applies when a weapon is used during the commission of a felony. This increases the severity of the sentence because it shows the crime was more dangerous, okay? So there was a weapon used. I'm going to tell you what type of weapon it is, but not right now. But there was a weapon used, and it says use of a deadly weapon is an enhancement that applies when the weapon is used. Okay, so basically he used a weapon during this felony, all right? And it says there are also additional allegations that may not always be separate charges, but are still important, all right? This includes claims of an ongoing relationship with a minor, contact with a minor, and beginning at a very young age. Again, they say anywhere from 11 to 12 is when they met. And possible possession of child SA material, okay? These factors can be used to show motive, intent, and a pattern of his behavior, especially in connection with the allegation of silencing a witness. Y'all, they said in his phone, they seized his phone, which he's a dumbass, because, after all this time, even though we know you really don't delete anything, but they wouldn't have even had an opportunity to get my phone. When I tell you that thing would have been in the bottom of somebody's river, do you hear me? But they see so many child nude photos and videos inside of this man's phone. How sick can you be? Do you mean to tell me you still got that phone? When I tell you that phone they wouldn't have never ever knew I had that phone. Do you hear me? That phone would have been gone with the wind, fabulous. But anyway, child, let's finish. And I don't know if they can tell that you had this phone if they don't have it physical, but I'm sure there's probably a way. So anyway, let's continue. So if the prosecutor proves first-degree murder and even one of the special circumstances, the sentence increased to either life without parole, meaning this joker would never see the day of light again outside. He would never feel winter, spring, summer, or fall, okay? Unless they take him out, you know, in the back or whatever. I don't know if they still do that or not, but nevertheless, but he would never be outside those gates, okay? So if they can prove first degree with at least one special circumstances, which they got a bunch of them, but they only need to prove first degree with one special circumstances, and his sentence increased to either life without parole or the death penalty. The death penalty. This is why the enhancements are so critical. They transform the case from a serious homicide into one of the most severe categories under the California law. This ain't just homicide. This ain't just pow, 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 you dead. This is a nasty, gruesome, disgusting murder. That's what they're saying. It's one of the most severe categories under the California law. This is as high as it gets, okay? So again, from a courtroom perspective, the prosecution is building a layered case. They are not just arguing that he killed this young lady. They are arguing that this was planned, carried out for a specific purpose, connected to other criminal conduct, and followed by actions that suggest an attempt to cover this shit up. The defense for David, they will focus on breaking that structure. They will challenge the intent and premeditation. They will dispute the existence of any special circumstances, and they will attack credibility and reliability of evidence related to the additional charges. Their goal is to create reasonable doubt at every single level. But, of course, all of this will be decided by a jury. So, but anyway, that's me breaking down the charges, but let's go back up, baby, because this is just the charges, honey. This is just the charges, right? So now let's go over the timeline again. 2024, Celeste's parents say she's missing, okay? And also, at the time that they said she was missing, they reported her missing several times. She was missing, and then she came back home within the same year. And then she got missing again. So the the police said she was a runaway, okay? She was a runaway. And that, I will say this, I don't like that. I don't like that the police department will just consider you a runaway and not put as much energy in going to get you or trying to look for you because you done ran away before and came back. But that is most states how they look at it. If you leave and then you come back and then you leave again, they're going to deem you a runaway. Okay, she said the other content creators don't want to speak on this case because ain't no side so they can go back and forth with. Oh, I had to read what you said. Oh, okay, yeah. They only want to speak on a case that have sides. Oh, I get it. I get it. So they deemed her a runaway even though the brother and the mom went down to speak to the police officers more than one time and said, my daughter is missing. My daughter is missing. But they did not take it serious. But she also said that she knew that she was in a relationship with a guy named David, okay? She knew that in 2024. Now, let's go on to 2025. This is the alleged death window. The prosecutor believed that she was killed around this time in April of 2025. Okay, April 2025 is the alleged death window. September of 2025 is when they find the Tesla of David, right? It's sent to the impound. A strong odor was coming from the trunk of that vehicle, and they looked in that joker and found a dismembered body. Now, whoever did this was stupid as hell because they literally dismembered the body and left it all together. How dumb is that? Huh? At least if you was a smart murderer, you would have put the arm in one area, the head in one area, the legs in one area, the torso in another area. They chopped the body all up, dismembered it, and put it all together in one location. That's crazy work. Nevertheless, so that's around September of 2025 is when they found that, okay? Now, fast forward to late 2025, early 2026. They start investigating the case as a homicide. And the grand jury began to review the evidence that the prosecutor brought forward. David was the primary suspect at that time, late 2025, early 2026. Him and his attorney was notified. We looking at your client. I just want you to know we are looking directly at him. So they were notified that he was the primary suspect, even though they had not done an arrest yet, okay? All right, now, April 16th of 2026, LAPD said, we ain't waiting till the grand jury to come back with a verdict. We are about to take his ass off the streets, and that's what they did. They arrested him on April the 16th. Now, when he was arrested, he wasn't even charged. People was like, what he charged for? What he charged for? What he charged for? He wasn't charged with nothing until April the 20th. 4 days after he was arrested, they hit him with all of these charges, okay? Again, first-degree murder with special circumstances, murder by lying in wait, murder to prevent testimony of a witness, murder for financial gain, continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14, lewd and lascivious acts with the minor, mutilation of a human remains, use of a deadly weapon, ongoing sexual relationship with a victim, possible contact started when she was under the age of 12, and possession of large amount of SA material. They hit him with that on April the 20th after holding him for 4 days. That man didn't even know what the hell he was there for. He knew, but they didn't tell him until 4 days after lockup. Now, mind you, when they locked his ass up, they said no bail whatsoever. Your ass ain't getting out. No bail, okay? We ain't offering you shit. You gonna sit. You've been free for 7 months, probably even longer than that. But you've been free for 7 months that we know of, and now your ass is locked up and you ain't going nowhere. We're not setting no bail for you. Now, let me tell you, they already had one hearing so far, court appearance, and David pled not guilty. The lawyer was adamant. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear the lawyer say that my client is not guilty. Okay, hold on. Let's see if this is it right here.
Appearing to be wearing the same hoodie he had on.
Okay, hold on. Where she said it? Well, anyway, anyway, she said, my client is not responsible for these murders. We'll get there. But anyway, so he pled not guilty. He went to court. His lawyer said, my client pleads not guilty, and we are prepared to prove that he is not responsible for Celeste's death. Okay? That's what he said. He's not responsible for the death. They set a preliminary hearing to start, I want to say, they said early May, but I want to say it's May the 1st, but early May is when they're going to do the preliminary hearing. I'll keep y'all up to date. Now, the key evidence claim, body was found in the Tesla, forensic evidence plus electronics seized, and massive digital data under investigation. They said it was like terabytes after terabytes after terabytes of evidence from this man, okay? Evidence of him being in a sexual relationship with Celeste, evidence that he planned, plotted, and carried out this murder, evidence that he tried to cover it up. Baby, they said they got him. They said they got terabytes of evidence. Terabytes. That's huge, okay? Now, cause of death is being ruled as a homicide caused by multiple penetrating injuries. Not just one, not just a knock upside the head, not just somebody being choked out, but multiple penetrating injuries, whether it was from a knife or just some type of sharp object. But she had multiple penetrating injuries on her body, okay? We're going to go over the autopsy in a few minutes, and we will talk about those multiple injuries, all right? Now, the prosecutor theory, they said all of this was because he was trying to cover up her getting him in trouble. But the prosecutor theory is sexual relationship with a minor. They are accusing him of having sex with her, and he murdered her because she was going to expose him. He wanted to avoid exposure to protect his career. Therefore, he thought that he needed to silence her, and the only way to silence her is to end her life, right? That's the prosecutor's theory, all right? But now, the defense position, the defense lawyer said, and y'all see her right here. Let's put her up right quick. They say she's a good attorney. She said he did not KI her, and the evidence that we have will clear him. Okay, that's what she said. He is not responsible for her death. So maybe she planned to come forth and say, well, she really died from a drug overdose, and he freaked out and didn't know what to do, so he just started dismembering her, or whatever the case may be. But she is adamant, the defense, that her client is not responsible for the death of Celeste, and says that they have evidence that will clear his name. All right, now let's talk about how serious these charges are. Very much serious. Why? Because let's talk about some of the factors that make it extremely serious. The victim was 14 years old at the time of death. She was found on her birthday, which she turned 15, but the time of death, she was only 14. There is alleged essay involved. He dismembered her body, right? And then the special circumstances of lying in wait and killing because she was going to be a witness. She was going to tell on his ass, okay? So in legal terms, this is the kind of case prosecutors may push for life without parole or even the death penalty, right? Now, let's go forward. Now, let's talk about the big picture for the prosecutor. They building a case around motive, saying that the motive was he wanted to cover up his relationship with a minor. He didn't want anybody to know that he was dating and having sexual relations with a minor. So they're building a case around the motive, digital evidence, forensic science, and patterns of behavior. Patterns of behavior because they're saying you sleeping with a minor and you got a minor photos in your phone. Joker, are you crazy right now? This is a pattern of yours. This ain't no one-time thing. You literally have video footage and you have photos of minors in your phone, and you being accused of being in a relationship with a minor. This is a pattern. That's what they're saying. Now, the defense strategy, like I said, will focus on challenging these evidence, breaking the timeline and alternative explanation, and to try to discredit the reasonable doubt, okay? Now, or to try to present reasonable doubt. Now, this case is one of the most disturbing ones that we've heard of, okay? A young fella, 21 years old, unaliving someone because he doesn't want to get exposed. Let's put him back up. A 21-year-old alleged unaliving someone because he didn't want to get exposed, right? Now, mind you, they both have the words SHHHHH on their finger, index finger. So when you look at your finger and you look inside, like inside the finger, like on the side of it, they got the word shh, like be quiet, like be quiet, okay? Be quiet, don't tell nobody, all right? She has the tattoo and so does he. So he wanted their relationship a secret But y'all know how it is when we get mad. When we get mad, we're going to tell it. We're going to tell it all, right? We're going to tell and get your ass in trouble, okay? So she threatened him. I'm telling everybody. I'm telling everybody we're in a relationship. I'm telling everybody what you did to me. I'm telling everybody. And he couldn't have that because he felt like, damn, I just made stardom. You're not about to ruin this for me. Are you crazy? Okay? So he plotted and he waited for the perfect time to get rid of her so that he can move on with his life and won't get in trouble for dating and having sex with a younger woman, and so that he can continue making his money. And he was getting hell of endorsements. Hell of endorsements. Anyway, let's continue this video, you guys.
Relationship between an adult music star.
Oh, I think we did that one already, right? I think so. Did we? Yeah, I think we did this video. Okay, I'm sorry. So we did this one. Let's put this one down. Now let's get into TMZ, because TMZ has been following this a long time and they have been breaking this shit down and all the way down. And baby, when I tell you, they are not playing with this case. Hold on one second. All right, now let's go to, I want to go to, let's hear what the medical examiner has to say.
We just received the autopsy report from the medical exam.
Okay, hold on. Let's go to this one. Let's see what all the, let me see if they're going to show it first. Let's see. Did they? I don't know if they showed it. I'll put it up. I'll put it up as a picture, but let's listen right quick.
The autopsy report from the medical examiner in Celeste Rivas's death, for which David is now charged with her murder. And there are some interesting things, and we talked about this before, that we knew that the coroner had ruled this, the medical examiner ruled this a homicide, but we didn't know the cause of death. And the DA said they were stabbed, there was some kind of sharp
instrument was used.
Now we know, and what they're saying is there were two wounds in particular, and that they believe, and they use the word may, and the word may is going to be really important, which we'll talk about, that they may be penetrating wounds, which would not be wounds to dismember a body.
Right, because of where they are, they believe, is, I think, the main, and also,
and the way they describe it is they describe two penetrating wounds, one on the abdomen and one on the chest, and they describe them as, they tell you the depth and the length of these, and they say they have smooth edges. Indication seems to me that some sort of knife was plunged into her, and it left smooth edges.
The key is the length of the wounds. One is 3/4 of an inch, one is 9/16. So this size wound as the penetrative wound. These are
which
not
is an indication of the length of the blade.
It's also a blade that could not dismember a body. Right, this would not be the same instrument used to dismember the body.
Now, the body was dismembered. They describe all that in detail, but those types of cuts to take the body apart would be different than
does the report say anything about the dismemberment or what they believe was used?
They don't say what was used.
No, it does describe it in a lot of detail.
But it's gruesome.
Yeah.
So there's a word that's used, may, that it may have been caused by this. The defense is going to jump on that.
Oh, they'll definitely.
They're not saying it's conclusive, and it aligns with what we have been hearing, which is they were having a really hard time determining how she died.
Well, look at the passage of time.
As recently as February.
Yeah. The passage of time to determine this is a long, it's many, many months.
There's also, and it's conflicting, and we still can't quite figure it out, but there are references to finding presumptive positive indications that she had both meth and MDMA in her system.
Although additional screenings showed that to be not detected, but the initial screen said presumptively.
It seems like there were two tests taken, two tox screens. The initial one detected MDMA and methamphetamine. Subsequently, they did a confirmation test, and it was unclear whether there was methamphetamine, but no sign of MDMA at that second confirmation test.
I mean, ultimately, is that going to matter when you get to trial, like whether or not she was?
Probably.
So they were trying to see whether she was on some type of drugs or not, right? And they're saying that they don't know if she was really on drugs, because after your body dies, after you die, when it starts decomposing or whatever, it can present the same type of reaction, right? it could, so they don't know if the drugs or the alcohol is from just you dying and decaying away. Does it come from that, or did she really have drugs in her system? Okay, so I just pause for a moment. Let's go over this damn, let's see, can I blow this up? Hold on, let me see if I can blow that up. I don't know if I can or not. Hold on. Anyway, it says, this is the autopsy report. Hold on, let me see if I can get my little boyfriend to explain the whole thing to me. Hold on. Give me a second. She had multiple rooms on her. And you know, hold on, let me just say this right quick. Let me say this. They literally had to, and this sounds so gross, actually. They had to piece her body back together, right? In order to be able to see all the wounds and stuff on her. Like, ew. Like, they literally had to put her back together. Like, oh my God, Jesus Christ. All right, so let's talk about what it is that we're looking at in this photo, okay? All right, here we go. Here we go. It says what we're looking at in this photo. So it says right now we're looking at a human body, front and back outline, handwritten notes from the medical examiner, marked areas of the injuries or the condition. All right, it says this comes in two parts, a left side, which is a clear diagram, basic marking, and then the right side is more detailed notes and annotation. Now, what does these markings represent? All right, it says they are clinical documentation tools, right? Each mark or note typically indicates injury location, areas where trauma was found. In this case, markings are concentrated around her torso, her chest and abdomen area, possibly neck and limbs, okay? This aligns with what was reported, multiple penetrating injuries. These type of injuries, based on the notes here, from what can be seen written, reference to sharp force or penetrating wounds. Possible notes about the death, the depth, the direction, and the number of wounds. This helped determine the type of weapon that was used, how much force was used, and whether the injuries was consistent with intentional attacks, okay? Now, the condition of the body, it says that you can see the notes like partially skeletized, which means it mentions decomposition, where her body was decaying in that vehicle, all right? It was in advanced decomposition stage, okay? So some tissues may have been broken down, missing, or difficult to evaluate, which means some of her skin, y'all, was peeling off, like melting off of her bones, which means that some of it was just skeleton, was just bones, you guys. Her skin had melted. Not all of it, but a lot of it. A lot of her skin was gone. So post-mortem changes. Some markings likely indicated post-mortem damages, areas affected by the decomposition and the environmental exposure. She was in a trunk in California in the sun, y'all, right? She was put in there. They assume she was killed and placed in there in April, and they didn't find her until September. So the whole damn summer, the prosecutor thinks that she rotted. From April to September, she rotted. So anyway, it says some markings likely, I already read that. It says important, not every mark equal an injury before death. Some are changes after the death. So as you look at this diagram, don't think that all of these arrows pointed, meaning that they happened before she died. Some of them are markings that has taken place since she died, like missing fingers and things like that or whatever. They could have rotted off or fell off and things of that nature, and they had to note all of that as well, all right? Now, the dismemberment indicators. There are markings around the limbs and the joints. These typical document separation points, condition of remains, right? So this supports the body being dismembered. So when you see these slash lines, y'all see how it's up by the thigh, slash, slash, the knee, slash, slash, the foot. Well, I don't think that's a slash on the foot, but everywhere you see a slash, right? Not the not arrows pointing, but slashes. That's where they dismembered the body. That's where they sawed off. Her lower leg was sawed off. Her higher leg was sawed off. Her torso was by itself, right? And I want to say her head was by itself. I mean, this is crazy work. And her arms were sawed off. Her arms was sawed off as well. So anyway, this is so disgusting, so disgusting. I don't even know how anybody can have a stomach for that shit. But anyway, let's continue. So it says, why this document matters in court. Well, this diagram is used for the prosecutor to show patterns of the injuries, support intent, the violence level, and possible weapon use. They think it was a knife, but they cannot 100% prove that it was a knife. But they do believe that it was a sharp object used, all right? Now, and this also helps expert testify clearly to a jury, all right? Now, let's, this is of this autopsy report, but let's go back up. Oh, let's listen to what else they were saying. Hold on one second. Let's put this down. Well, let's listen to what they're saying by listening to watching this autopsy too. Let's go back just a little bit. All right, here we go.
No sign of MDMA at that second confirmation test.
I mean, ultimately, is that going to matter when you get to trial? Like,
wait a minute, hold on. Let's go.
That's not detected, but in the initial screen said presumptively.
It seems like there were two tests taken, two tox screens. The initial one detected MDMA and methamphetamine. Subsequently, they did a confirmation test, and it was unclear whether there was MDMA, but methamphetamine, but no sign of MDMA at that second confirmation test.
I mean, ultimately, is that going to matter when you get to trial? Like, whether or not she was
probably not
any drugs?
Well, they may argue. They may argue it was an overdose. I don't know what they're going to argue, but they'll latch on to what they did.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what they're saying now is they don't know 100% if she had drugs in her system or not. Again, they don't know if the methamphetamine or the MDMA came from using drugs before she died, or did it come after she died when your body just started breaking down? They said that can be, it can relate to the same type of drug use before a person dies. So they said the defense might try to say she didn't die from stabbing, she died from a drug overdose, and yeah, they tried to hide the body, so you can get him off of dismembering and trying to hide the body, but you can't get him on the murder, okay? All right, so let's continue.
But look, I covered the O.J. Simpson case. The coroner was on the stand for 8 days in that case. So this is going to be the centerpiece of the case because, you know, what the DA is saying is we have evidence she threatened David that she would expose their relationship, probably in a text. That's the way they make it seem. And that she goes to David's house on April 23rd, 2025, never to be seen again.
Right.
So now the question, what happened? So the prosecutor is going to say, he stabbed her to death. And here are these 2 wounds. And then you're going to have the defense coming out and saying, look, number one, you didn't say conclusively, you're saying may. And this is a reasonable doubt case. Number 2,
and that is important because the prosecutor did, I mean, not the prosecutor, but the coroner did say may. They did use the word may. This may be stab wounds or something like that. So they didn't say definitively. They said may. And may is reasonable doubt, okay? Reasonable doubt.
If it was so clear to you, why 4 months in were you still saying undetermined? So this is going to be a huge part of this case.
And also, I would think, maybe they'll say this, that it would get harder
to find those wounds, the more time passes. Like they found her body in September, and I'm sure it's refrigerated, but the state of decomposition, I would think it gets harder by March. Now suddenly, what changed?
They're going to freeze it once they find the body. They can freeze it in the state.
But why don't think that was what they found months later. Those penetrating wounds must have been known to the coroner right from the.
But why did they say we may never be able to determine whether
the body is in a very bad state? The insects and so forth are described in there. Liquefaction of organs
So some of her body parts was missing, like her eyeballs and things of that nature. But they said that didn't come from somebody plucking out her eyes. That came from, I hope y'all are not eating. I hope you're not eating. But they say that came from maggots eating at the soft areas of the body. And your eye tissue is considered a soft area. So just imagine any other soft area of the body. Maggots was eating at that. So that's why she was missing eyeballs.
Things of that nature, but the body that you can see in their diagram shows these 2 penetrating wounds, and those are inconsistent with dismemberment.
Well, there'll be pictures. There will be photographs.
There's going to be photographs of everything.
There will be photographs of all of this in the trial. But again, the defense is going to get every correspondence, every inter-office correspondence in the ME's office, and correspondence that goes to either LAPD or DA about what have you found with the cause of death, the manner of death. And if these correspondents say, we can't figure it out, then the question is, how'd you figure it out? And why would it take you so long to see a penetrating wound?
And we want to see if there's a pressure being applied by other officials to come to a conclusion or things of that nature. That's going to be tough on prosecutors if they're applying pressure.
And we know from right from the beginning, Nathan Hochman, the DA, was putting a lot of pressure to find an answer what happened to this girl.
Well, for good reason.
And for good reasons, but that might go to the pressure.
But we don't know. Again, we don't know, and we're not saying anything about what the truth here is. It's just this is going to be the core of this trial. This will be the core of the trial. Well, you know, what we just got.
Okay, so J. Lou said it was only 1 eyeball missing. Okay, thank you.
And it's a very thick document and very detailed. And clearly, the way it's written, I mean, you can tell this coroner knows that this will be subjected to great scrutiny.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what, again, I keep going back to that word may, because that's a critical,
the lack of a definitive
critical word.
So basically what they're saying is the coroner kind of wrote his report up, kind of sort of guessing, right? Not 100%. It took them 4 months to even put the report together, right? Because for 4 months they didn't know nothing about nothing. It was all inconclusive, right? On the matter of death. And then they literally just snatched something out the air and said, this is how she died, right? So, and they're saying she may have died through this. She may. So because they said that, it leaves rooms open for the defense to come back and say, that ain't how she died. That's not how she died, okay? All right?
Lily, NYC. I think that this actually sort of clears things up a bit. It was very confusing, you know, the details around the state of her body. And so actually pointing out wounds sort of gives us something to go on. So definitely the defense will have a lot to say, but I think this is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, to be continued. There's a hearing tomorrow on exactly when this preliminary hearing is going.
So now this was TMZ basically giving us updates on on the matter of death, because no one knew. Everybody was like, how did she die? 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 Right? So they were unknowing how she died. So then they came out and said, okay, boom, here, this is how she died. So of course the defense is going to challenge it. Now let's go back to 1 day ago. It says major courtroom drama. Now let's listen and find out what happened here. All right.
Engage with Joe Rogan's ideas rather than just call Joe Rogan an idiot.
All right, hold on. Let me get down to the real nitty gritty. Let me stop all of this. Let's just get to the Celeste part. Here we go. All right, hold on, one more. Here we go.
Art Grizzly. What they're saying is there were 2 wounds in particular.
The autopsy report says 2 penetrating wounds of the torso with smooth edges that may represent sharp force injuries.
Which would not be wounds to dismember a body.
The key is the length of the wounds. One is 3/4 of an inch, one is 9/16.
Which is an indication of the length of the blade.
And also a blade that could not dismember a body.
There's a word that's used, may, that it may have been caused by this. The defense is going to jump on that. So the prosecutor is going to say, he stabbed her to death. And here are these 2 wounds. And then you're going to have the...
All right, so this is just updated. It looks like they just kind of went over the same thing. I thought they were actually telling us something that happened in court. So let's go to, hold on. Let's listen to what the lawyer said. Because the lawyer, she's just as adamant. Oh, I love listening to him. Oh, hell yeah.
Versus David and
I love listening to this guy right here, baby. He says, this guy name is CLR Bruce Rivers. Baby, he give it to you real. I love watching him. So anyway, let's listen to his side of, because the lawyer actually comes out and say, she pushing back real hard. And they say she's a very, very good attorney. So he is definitely getting his money worth. But she pushing back real, real hard. I don't want to watch 50 minutes of him. Oh, heck no. I'm not about to watch 50 minutes of him. But let's listen to a little bit of what he has to say, okay?
Anthony Burke, that's case number 26 CJC F02399.
good morning or good afternoon, Your Honor. Blair Burke, Marilyn Baranowski, and Regina Peter on behalf of our client, David Burke, who's in custody.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
So Blair Burke, her father is part of the American Board of Criminal Lawyers, which was a good friend of my former law partner. And I've actually spoken to her on occasion. So Blair Burke has also represented Britney Spears and a number of high-profile celebrities.
So Blair Burke, that's the attorney name, Blair Burke. She's used to defending high-profile cases of celebrities, okay? So this lady right here with this black or blue, whatever it is, jacket on and this yellow shirt with this long hair right here, they say she bad to the bone, okay? She's bad to the bone. So she has defended and got off several cases of celebrities that's dealing with situations like this. So they said she bad, she tough now.
She tries this case or not remains to be seen.
Deputy District Attorney Beth Silverman to the people, Your Honor.
Thank you. And counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing within the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary.
Preliminary hearings are never done in secret. That's a statement designed for the cameras.
Hearing to be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
You generally don't do this at a preliminary hearing, or not at an arraignment. This is an arraignment. That's where you plead, basically not guilty, or have the charges read to you, and then they usually enter a not guilty plea.
Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death, and we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Anything from the people?
So it sounds like, you remember how they said that Ari, she has a habit, I guess, of rushing things, like rushing the prosecutor, the state, to try that case, basically saying, I know my client is innocent, so we ready to go to trial in 10 days. So basically, she's trying to rush a preliminary hearing and saying that they ready to prove in so many words, show me your evidence so we can show you that your evidence is bullshit, is basically what she's saying in so many words. You know, she said basically that they have evidence to prove that he did not do that, and they are rushing it. I think she said 10 days or whatever. She said she want April the 23rd to start the 10 days. So she wants to go before the judge in the public within 10 days to try to, you know, cancel out his you know, moving forward with a trial. Okay.
And we'll be very happy to put on the evidence.
We'll be very happy. Oh, look at that.
And so this is the prosecutor. The prosecutor, which is the state, she said, we'll be very happy to put on the evidence. Basically trying to say, are we ready for you? We have it, but you know it's going to take more than 10 days to get it to you, is what she's trying to say. So she said, we'll be very happy to present the evidence, but she do not agree to the 10 days. Listen up.
The evidence.
We'll be very happy. Oh, look at that little cat fight going on there. I shouldn't say that because that's very sexist for me to say, but that's who I am. I'm sexist. I want a cat fight. We'll be very happy to show that your piece of shit client murdered this woman.
That we collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set.
You see, she does this number. That's like, I got you,
Oh,
girl.
she did. I thought she said, but you, hold on. She said, we'll be very happy. Hold on.
I want a cat fight. We'll be very.
Hold on, let me go back.
For April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
Anything from the people?
And we'll be very happy to put on the evidence.
We'll be very happy. Oh, look at that little cat fight going on there. I shouldn't say that because that's very sexist for me to say, but that's who I am. I'm sexist. I want a cat fight. We'll be very happy to show that your piece of shit client murdered this woman.
That we collected in this case in the last several months.
Thank you. So the matter will be set.
You see, she does this number. That's like, I got you, girl. This whole thing between these two lawyers right now, that's for the cameras. That is 100% for the cameras. So he's got top-notch legal representation, but they're starting out in a hole. I don't care how fucking great your lawyer is. I don't care how beautiful your lawyer is. I don't care how expensive your lawyer is. Lawyers can't change the facts of the case. They just can't. So how are you going to get those body parts back together and make them not dismembered? Not going to happen. How do you get those body parts out of a fucking bag and, it's not going to happen? How do you get those body parts that are in a bag out of a fucking trunk? It ain't going to happen. And how do you get those body parts that were in a bag in a trunk that are in his fucking Tesla? How are you going to change that? No lawyer is going to change that. But what they can do is try to create, reasonable doubt. And that's all they have to do.
Okay. So anyway, I mean, if y'all want to watch his little video, I'm gonna put it on mute while we watch his little video. He think he bad to the bone, but I love that lawyer though. I love him. I mean, I think he's cool. I don't know about him as a lawyer, but he's good as a blogger. But nevertheless, him right there. So anyway, I want to listen to it, but I don't want to listen to it right now because it's 50 minutes long. However, but I did hear where the lawyer came back, or the prosecutor came back and said, they have the evidence and they're willing to present the case with the evidence, but they're going to need more than the 10 days. Okay, I think she did come back and say that, if I'm not mistaken. I think I heard her come back and say that they needed more than 10 days. So nevertheless, the prosecutor, even seeing the prosecutor out front, like I said, the prosecutor, and it's going to be a team. It's not just going to be one person. It's going to be a team. But to even see them come out front, very bold, and say, basically in a nutshell, we got your clients by the balls. We know he did this. We have enough evidence to prove that he did this. Now, one or two things may happen. That attorney, because she's getting paid good money, she may stay on the case and try to fight it, or once she receives all the evidence, because apparently she doesn't have it all right now, but once she receives all the evidence and she look and see just how much they have on him, she may decide to say, I'm not taking this case because I'm not going to ruin my reputation trying to fight something when all the odds are against you. Again, this prosecutor right here, let me put him up right quick. This prosecutor right here, hold on. He is the one that made me think that they got David. Okay, here we go. This guy right here, hold on.
The musician known as David, spelled D4vd, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time. These charges include the most serious charges that a DA's office can bring. That is first-degree murder with special circumstances. The special circumstances being lying in wait, committing this crime for financial gain, or murdering a witness in an investigation. These special circumstances carry with it, along with the first-degree murder charge, a maximum sentence of life without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. The determination on whether or not the district attorney's office will seek the death penalty will be made at a later time. Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke, the musician known as David, spelled D4vd, in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste, a 14-year-old at that time.
So, his speech alone make me feel a little more not comfortable, but more assured that they got him. The way they speak of the charges, the way they speak of the evidence, it just seems like they have something. And then, mind you, they've been investigating this for 7 months. So for 7 months, and they've been doing it in secret. No one knew what they were doing. So in secret, they've been gathering information, talking to this witness, talking to that witness. They even arrested one of his friends. I want to say it may have been his manager, right? Because he missed court and wouldn't come in. They arrested him for him to come in, and they said when he came in, we don't know what he said, but apparently somebody told everything. They told what's going on, okay? They told what's going on. So anyway, I just feel that they have something, because after 7 months of him not being arrested, and then all of a sudden he come forward, they arrest him, and not only do they arrest him, but they make it sound like they have so much information to cream his crop. So I just believe that this guy is going to definitely be found. I don't know. He's going to be found guilty of something, because they said they even have proof of his sexual relationship with the 14-year-old girl. Now, Nancy is all on this. I see you mentioned Nancy. Nancy Grace is all on this, and she said, complaining he needs more sun time. Oh, wait a minute. What? It says Nancy Grace said, hold on, let me see. Nancy Grace said that he is complaining that he needs more sun time. Now, y'all know Nancy has been on this case for a while, and I'm sure I'm going to start watching her when it comes to him. I'm sure she is all over it, okay? She ain't even calling him David no more. She's calling him a child killer. I'm only laughing because y'all know Nancy is off the damn chain. Let's listen to her one clip where she calls him a child killer. Hold on.
Defendants can be very, very charming. Think about Scott Peterson or Dr. Martin McNeil, who killed his wife, a beauty queen. According to Susan Smith's family, this is not the child killer. She's talking about Susan Smith. My bad. I'm sorry. I thought that's what she was calling the child killer. She's talking about Susan, another lady, another whole lady. Okay, hold on. Let me get to what she's saying about David. Give me a second, y'all. Nancy don't be playing at all.
Hold on. All right, here we go.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste.
There was a motive for Celeste's murder, that there was no accidental overdose.
Today, I am announcing the charges against David Anthony Burke in connection with the brutal and horrific murder of Celeste.
There was a motive for Celeste's murder, that there was no accidental overdose.
I guess right there, she's just saying, I guess people were trying to say that that she unalived herself through drugs or whatever. And y'all already know Nancy is not having that, okay? Nancy is definitely not having that. 3 days ago, she said it was a sick cover-up of murder, dismembered Celeste at the age of 13. Then she goes over here and say the music star David thrown in segregation. Oh, this is when he said he was thrown in segregation. Hold on.
D4vd, aka David Anthony Burke, in the last hours thrown into segregation, had to move jails after charges come down regarding the grisly murder and dismemberment of a 13-year-old girl, Celeste Rivas. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. I want to thank you for being with us.
So right here, Nancy is actually trying to say she was 13 when she was murdered, okay? But let's listen to him having to go into segregation.
She threatened to come forward about their sex relationship, knowing it would destroy his music career. Why thrown into segregation? Straight up to Caitlin Becker, senior national correspondent, New York Post, and host of a hit new podcast, NY Postcast. Caitlin, thank you for being with us. Why segregation?
Well, Nancy, it's because of his notoriety. They're keeping him protected because he's a well-known person. Now, I use that term as loosely as I possibly can. I think
so. Segregation is PC. Protective custody, okay? I guess that's what they mean by segregation.
It's this case that has really added to his notoriety. I mean, he wasn't exactly a household name coming into this investigation, but within the system, it does seem that they're a bit concerned that something could happen to him if he was maybe in Gen Pop or with some of the other inmates while he's awaiting trial, because of course he did not get out on bail because these charges are so incredibly egregious. So it's definitely...
And because of the charges dealing with a young girl, and then how he ended up, or what he's been charged with, how she was killed and dismembered, yeah, they probably waiting to do something to him,
For his protection, I do wonder how much that has to do with just the optics and the fact that he has a crack defense team of celebrity attorneys who would really hammer them if anything happened to him behind bars. So he is segregated, he's alone, just basically because he's kind of famous.
Once in the jail, D4vd is now segregated from other inmates for being a, quote, noteworthy person. Now, you mentioned that he may be more popular behind bars than he is on the outside, but isn't it true? He was pulling in millions of dollars and had just launched his worldwide Withered tour when Celeste's body was found in 2 different trash bags, her head in one trash bag. Actually, they're called body bags, so I'm not sure they're trash bags. And the rest of her body dismembered, and the second bag in his the front trunk.
So I didn't even know that it was in 2 different bags, but why have it together though? I don't understand why they would dismember the head and put it was in a different bag, but still in the same location. It was still found together. What was he thinking? But he is only 21 years old. He is only 21 years old.
Of his Tesla. Isn't that true? Just before that happened, he was leaving on a world tour.
That's exactly right, Nancy. He was certainly an up-and-comer. He was on the upswing of his career. Like I said, not a household name yet, but definitely in the hip-hop world and in that circle, someone that people knew. And all of those things that you just mentioned right there are going to come into play in this case. It was him being on the upswing in his career. It was the money that he was making at the time. And it was this world tour that he was about to embark on that prosecutors believe factored into why he ultimately allegedly slaughtered this girl, tore her apart.
What I don't understand is, you know, they were young and they were trying to hide their relationship, but they were posting these pictures in their Discord rooms, okay? So some of their friends actually knew about them. I don't understand how they thought that they was going to get away with this.
And stuffed her into those bags, as you know, as you just laid out there. The gruesomeness of the crime, they're saying, was all going to go back to the fact that she was going to allegedly expose their sexual relationship. I mean, she's a child. She was a little girl in this case. And what prosecutors believe is that she was going to come forward and that he allegedly thought that would derail his career, which obviously it would if that came out there. And, you know, I say obviously it would, but we've seen R. Kelly, we've seen things that happened with other domestic violence and other accusations with musicians, and sometimes it doesn't derail their career. It seems like the last bastion of celebrity that hasn't been impacted.
Wait a minute, Becker. Hold on. Where is Sean Puffy Combs, a.k.a.?
Oh, my God. I know she didn't go there. But anyway, so again, this fella right here, 21 years old, pretty much ruined his life, his career. Just started out career. He ruined it because he, you know, became attractive to a child. And once he found out that she was a child, because I did hear somewhere where she had told him she was 18, but come on, the girl don't look nowhere near 18. But nevertheless, when he found out that she was a kid, he was supposed to literally leave her alone. But that's not what he did, okay? Now, I see what Rashida said. She said, I'm sorry, I got to be that person. Where were her parents? Why do these parents let their kids hang around these older men? Now, that's when I first started. You remember I said, why at 11, 12, or 13 years old, she could even fix her mouth to tell her parents that her boyfriend was named David. That's not, how are you letting your 13 or your 12-year-old to say they have a boyfriend and their boyfriend name is named such and such, okay? So, and when she ran away the first time, she ran away to him and came back. So, and he's been to her house. David has visited. So yeah, I feel the same way. The parents knew about David. If I'm not mistaken, I think they said David been to her house, right? Then he been, if I'm not mistaken, I do believe I read somewhere that David had met the parents or at least been to her house for something, okay? So they very much knew about David in a sense, or maybe been around her brother. It was either around her brother or around her parents, but somebody in the family has been around David. It may have just been her brother though. So nevertheless, that's what's going on right now with this fella. Okay, so he's been held without bond, and his lawyer is adamant that he didn't do it. The prosecutor is adamant that he did and said that they have proof and they ready to move forward and whatnot to get this thing done. So I will keep you guys up to date, but that's where we are right now. David, a guy that once looked like this, now looks like this, is locked up in segregation with no bail at all, okay? In California. So, and I also heard that they're trying to force, or what is it when you call it force, you subpoena his family to talk, because I heard they didn't want to talk, and they're like, no, we're making y'all talk. So I don't know what that's about, but we'll find out more. But anyway, you guys, that's all I have for the two cases. I'm going to update my thumbnail to represent this case and Holly case. So I will try to give you guys updates, you know, as they come in. It may not be a long breakdown like it was today. I just kind of wanted to give you a backstory of what's going on for those that were not following this. Now, let me just ask y'all in the comments. I got 175 people in here. By the show of hands, are y'all even interested in this case? Because sometimes like 4 or 5 people say they're interested. And then when I come and talk about the story, it don't hardly be nobody in there. So are y'all even interested in this case, or is it too too I don't know, boring or unimportant, y'all let me know. Are y'all even interested in following what's going to happen to David? Okay, so Lady E said yes. Lisa said yes. Anybody else interested? I know you are, J-Lou. I know J-Lou and Kissy. I know they're interested. She said it's sad all the way around. These parents got to do better. These kids got to get their heads on straight. Yeah, it's definitely... I just think you should know where your kids are from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to sleep. You should know where your kids are. Hell, you should know where your kids are every minute of the day. You should just know where your kids are. You should definitely know where your kids are. Okay, so a few of you guys said yes. All right. So, okay, I'll keep you guys updated. I didn't know because, at one time I was like, y'all interested in such and such case? Y'all was like, oh, yeah, we interested. And then it was like 50 people in there or something like that. But anyway, I will keep bringing you the updates in this case. It will be interesting, though, right? Because the prosecutor do think they have so much, right? However, I heard someone speaking, and actually it was a defense attorney. Let's go to that one right quick. It's a defense attorney said that this is going to be a hard case to prove. Hold on. Okay, hold on. A defense attorney said that this is actually going to be a hard case to prove because even the SA, they said unless they have like concrete evidence that he slept with her, they're not even going to be able to pin that on him. And, but no one knows exactly what they have on him, but they literally was like, it ain't a smoking gun as the prosecutor tried to explain it. Hold on, let me see. Was it on this one? I know it's on this one, but let me see which one. Is one where the defense attorney said it is not as black and white as people think it is. Hold on, I'm trying to see if I can find it. I don't know the title of it, but I know I listened to it. Maybe this one. Hold on.
Singer David and his...
No, it's not Jesse Weber. It was the other guy. It wasn't Jesse Weber. It was another guy. I'm trying to think of the guy's name. But anyway, they had a defense attorney on there. And the defense attorney said it is not as black and white as people think. Just because the prosecutor may come forward with charges don't mean that the case is solid because the thing that they're charging him with, they got to have proof. And he was even saying that the SA charges may not even be strong enough evidence to charge him with that. Like they got to have solid evidence. Is this it? No, it wasn't him. I think it was him. Is it? Well, anyway, I'm not going to play it because I always get demonetized when they do it anyway. So I don't want to have to go take it out. Anyway, I'm not going to play it. But nevertheless, you guys, I may just summarize it another time. She said, do you see the Turner Homer case? He killed that little girl, Athena. I never heard of that. She said, oh, yes, Tarnett. I heard the dad was able to get Ashley body home. Oh, yeah, I owe y'all an update on that. What's going on with the young lady unalive in Africa? I owe y'all an update on that. I'll give y'all an update on that. Not tonight, though. Amor, I just learned about the gruesome case of a 12-year-old girl. She was raped by a 56-year-old uncle. He was supposed to get bail, but what? But he abandoned it. What you mean he abandoned it? He was supposed to get bail, but he abandoned it. What do you mean he abandoned it? He dropped bail, like he said he don't want it? Like, what do you mean abandon it? A 56-year-old? Ugh, that's disgusting. Fucking disgusting. That's crazy. So, I gotta give you guys an update on Ashley in Tanzania. I gotta find out what's going on with her. But no, I have not heard about these stories that you guys are telling me now. Also, the guy dropped his own bail. That seems weird. Well, he don't want to be on the outside? That's crazy. Because he probably know he did it. 12-year-old. These sorry-ass uncles, I'm trying to tell you. Baby, y'all better keep an eye on some of these family members. Keep an eye on some of these family members, baby. Them be the ones, you know? That's crazy, though. Absolutely crazy. But anyway, y'all, let's sign off. But before we do, thank y'all so very much for pouring into my live stream. I do appreciate you guys. Thank you, That's MF, for that for that orange paintball, y'all. Thank you so much, Binky Bink, Candy Girl. Thank you, I Am My Sister's Keeper. Thank you, Vera. Thank you, Barbara. Appreciate you. Thank you, Angie. Thank you so much. And Molly Island, thank you so much. Appreciate you guys so very much. Thank y'all for pouring into this live stream. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that. She said, Cora. We're going to get to Cora, y'all. We ain't going to do Cora in this live stream because, honey, we'll be here for 2 more hours. But I do want to break down what that girl said. What time is it? Oh, it's 11 o'clock on Friday. Who up? Who's up? Not this live, but who's up? Y'all tell me who is up. Who is up? Y'all let me know. Who is up? Who is up? Ooh, look at Cora. Cora look good. Friday night beauty pageant. Look at them long legs of Athena. Oh my God. I mean, not Athena, but Junie. Junie got on heels. Lord Jesus, how she wear heels better than me? Lord, y'all, look at Athena with the heels on. Lord Jesus, Athena gonna be just like me, can't wear heels. Athena gonna be just like me, can't wear heels. Athena like, I don't know what this means, but I can't wear these damn heels. He just pled guilty. Who played guilty? She said, me, start a new live. Yeah, I might have to start a new live, but y'all know I got to take a little break in between so that my views don't go out on my other live, okay? So I have to take a little break in between because if not, I will lose views on my other video. She says, I'm up, but I'm about to head out for a date night. MJ movie. Oh, Michael Jackson movie. I will catch the rest tomorrow. Okay, thank you, J. Lou, for the love, and good night, honey. She says, oh no, I'm not green or more. Let me pay my coat bill. I'll be back. Thank you, baby girl. Appreciate the love. Appreciate the love. She said, I got heels on tonight. I don't know who I think I am. Wish me luck in these things, girl. Child, if I had on heels, I'd bust my ass. You hear me? But have fun and be careful, girl. Make sure you know, throw it back in a circle. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Have fun, girl. Have fun on your date night. She said, another sicko, he did that in a FedEx truck. What? Wait a minute. Which one he did in a FedEx truck? The 56-year-old? He messed with the girl in a FedEx truck? Oh, my God. Y'all got to tell me about that, but not on this live. We'll do it on another live. We'll do it on another live. So a couple of y'all said that y'all was still up. I may start another live, but, you know, I got to give it a little time in between. So I may start another live and go listen to what the young lady said about Cora, okay? About Cora and Justin, all right? So, did Justin come back out today? I think he posted something, maybe some AI photo. You know, he love try to take the attention, the negative attention off of him. That's what he tries to do. Justin tries to take the negative attention off of him all the time. He said, "Happy Friday," and then he started laughing. That was 2 hours ago. Oh yeah, he did one that talking about acting like he's playing chess. Boy, bye. Boy, bye. Oh my God. She said, you know, people gonna pull up if you come back. Yeah. I know. She said, really, the 56-year-old talk about 56 years old I talk about is South African. Oh, the 56-year-old is in South Africa. Oh. She said that weirdo made himself look like King Chess. I know, I saw that. I'm like, She said, the more that lady called CPS on Justin. Which lady? Which lady? The unique lady? Oh, the Honer and Athena case happened in a FedEx truck. Oh. So anyway, y'all, listen. Oh, she did? Did she do it online? Oh my. Anyway, let me see how long her video is. Hold on, let me see. Her video is 46 minutes. All right. So we'll break down her video when I come back. Yep, she said this video is of me contacting the Los Angeles Police Department and the CPS of Los Angeles. JD has threatened Cora's life numerous times to me directly. He is obsessed with her and it's concerning. He clearly mentally unstable and is dangerous. What? What? He threatened Cora's life to her directly? I believe her. And the reason why I believe her, because Justin is too fucking trusting. You know what I'm saying? Excuse my language, but he's trusting. And he trusted a lot of people, a lot of bloggers in the beginning or whatnot, telling them all types of crazy things. You remember he even sent that text saying that the only way this is going to stop is if she's dead or in jail. So I believe that he probably did make threats on Cora's life to her. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to break this one down, y'all. This is gonna be for my night shifters, honey. This is gonna be for my night shifters. So you give me about 30 minutes or so, and let my views still run for my other video, this one right here, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about Unique Portia. I think that's how you say her name, Unique Portia. We'll talk about her and this video. About her calling CPS on him for the threats. But I don't know if CPS is the right department to call. I think she should go to the police. Because, see, the police will take her statement. CPS will take it too, but I don't know how much bearing CPS will have, but this have on them. I think she should call the police. I think she should call the police, okay? She said he called the police on Unique. Oh, he did call the police on Unique? He called the police on her? She said Unique went on live and called the cops and CPS, gave address and phone numbers. And then he turned around and called her. Oh, Lord, honey, we got to come back, y'all. Give me a second, child. Give me a second, honey. Let me sign off this one, and I will do a late night live, you guys, okay? So thank y'all so very much. I'm about to end this live because, honey, y'all telling me some stuff that I ain't even know. Y'all said she called the police on him and called the CPS, and then he turned around and called the police on her. Lord Father. Anyway, let's go, and I will be back to talk about this. And I will also update my thumbnail to include not just Holly in this video, but also the David 4 guy. All right. Since nobody want to cover it over here, I got y'all. Okay. I got y'all. All right. So she said she called the CPS about his neglect by the pool. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see y'all in a minute. Thank y'all so very much. Mwah.
Because they can't make $1 without mentioning down one of our names.
Jay! She kept talking about that family. 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 That family. She kept talking about that family. Talking about that family. These motherfuckers don't be wanting to listen. Because they can't make $1 without mentioning down one of our